gentlemen.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today with Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
But I do have some questions.
There are more questions than answers.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today.
If you're ready to talk, we're willing to listen.
Well, I really enjoy this program today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
May God bless every person.
Good afternoon and welcome to Talk Today. My name is Patrick Schmid. It's my pleasure to be here with you on behalf of Sterling Dwayne Ebanks. We have among our sponsors today Green Turtle, and we're going to have quite an interesting show today with a number of different important messages being brought by various parties involved in the effort against the COVID-19 pandemic. So we'll be right back after this commercial break. Please stay tuned to Talk Today.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today, the Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program. We ask our listeners to avoid statements or comments which are abusive, derogatory, malicious, or defamatory. Do not use any indecent language or make any statement which is false or misleading. Email Talk Today at candw.ky or call 1-800-534-8255. Courtesy of Flow.
Cayman's #1 network that connects you to your world like never before.
Let your voice be heard. Once again, here's your host, Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Good afternoon and welcome back to Talk Today. This is Patrick Schmid standing in for Sterling Dwayne Ebanks, and we are going to start off today's program with a discussion regarding anxiety management and stress management. So we're just waiting right now for a call from the relevant person. I'm sorry. Okay, so right now we are anticipating that call to come through, and in the meantime, just give you a heads up that, of course, at 2 o'clock we'll be breaking for the press briefing from the government as per usual. So it's a slightly shorter program than we would normally have, but between now and then we'll have a number of other contributors to the program, and including people who will be speaking to various issues that have become very important for all of us to consider, including the potential for wearing personal protection devices, such as masks, as well as other efforts that we should all be considering in terms of protecting ourselves and our loved ones and all those around us in the community from the spread of this pandemic. Hello, do I have Ms. Bush on the line? Good afternoon.
Yeah, yes, you do.
Hello.
Hi, Patrick.
That's quite all right. I'm glad you got through fine. So, welcome to Ms. Tara Bush, who, of course, is very familiar with the studio, but is not in the studio since we're practicing the distancing as is recommended. And so I believe that you were going to share with our listening audience for a few minutes the types of suggestions that you have regarding stress and anxiety management during this difficult time.
Yes. Thank you so much, Patrick, for having me on. I'm a health coach and a yin yoga and hatha yoga teacher and training, and have been taking a lot of meditation classes and connecting with the breath. So I just want to help your audience understand that I have some authority to talk about this. And so the first thing, this is a very unusual time. And I don't think my dad's over 80 or slightly over 80 years old. And he has never experienced anything like this. And I don't think anybody else, other maybe in the eastern part of the world, have experienced this sort of situation we're in.
Yes. I mean, certainly there have been pandemics, but they've each been different, and this one is definitely unique. So.
And it's throughout the world. It's on our shores. It's throughout everyone's shores.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and so it's just we have what we have to do is understand that we create our own thoughts, and our thoughts create our intentions, and our intentions create our reality. So it all comes back to us and our thoughts, and how can we regulate our thoughts. And one of the things that I do is work at being present right here, right now. Okay. Because Patrick, you and I are talking, and for now, you and I are okay, right?
Right.
You left your parents, or you talked to them today. I've talked to my dad, he's okay. The connections that we have in my world are okay today, right now.
Yes.
And that's all we can live in, right? For I know that sounds, well, how can we do that? Because that's not how we humans are made up. But that's where we need, if we are to let have create insanity and the way forward, that's where we need to start coming from at the moment. That for here, right now, we are okay. And what I can control, okay, are my
Yes.
thoughts.
R-
And okay. And what I can do is connect to my breath. Now, why is breathing so darn important? Well, it helps us to be alive, but um, if you look at the people around you today, or maybe yourself, you may realize that you're breathing from your chest. If you're breathing from your chest, it means that your sympathetic nervous system is activated, and this is fight, flight, or freeze. So, how can you get to your parasympathetic nervous system? Rest and digest, and that's your belly breathing. And I'm pretty sure you've had a lot of anxiety specialists, the psychologist has come on and talked to people about how they can activate their sympath- parasympathetic nervous system. Um, and you do this by breathing. I'll just do something. Is this okay with you doing it? I mean,
Of course.
Patrick?
Certainly.
Yeah. If you can breathe through your nose and exhale through your mouth for 3 times. So inhale and yeah, and inhale again and do it again. Now we should be settled enough to go into a meditation. And we do this through our nose, inhale and exhale through our nose. And if we can close our eyes and maybe bring the attention to the center of our forehead, and we breathe in. We're going to breathe in for the count of 4 and exhale for the count of 4. I the longer you exhale, the better it is, because that's when you really get into your parasympathetic nervous system. But a lot of people, because we're still chest breathers, aren't activating that. They're not connecting to their breath and don't have enough breath to sustain the 8. So if you can make it to 8, that's better on the exhale, because
Right.
that's letting things out. So we'll just do that for four times. And can we do it now?
Yes. In fact, I did do that. But you're referring to the second aspect of the activation, which is the closing of the eyes and then the inhaling and exhaling through the nose. Is that correct?
Yes,
Yeah.
and I'll count very slowly.
Yes, ma'am. We can
All
do it
right.
again, of course. Susan was doing it as well. And
Oh,
I hope our
okay.
listening
All right.
audience is also.
Right. So,
um, okay, but we can do it
and
again.
no, that's okay, because
Yes.
this is a radio program and we need to talk.
Right.
So I encourage people to go on to Headspace. That's an app. Calm, and the other one is Breathe. Also, Chopra and the Chopra Center with Oprah has an amazing meditation out right now, activating hope, and it's free.
Right.
That one is.
Could I just ask you, Ms. Tara, if you would, you mentioned headspace, and then the second one, I wasn't quite sure if you said breathe. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
And you're quite right when you referred a little while ago to the fact that we've had, for example, Dr. Alexandra Borden on when she was discussing something similar and suggesting, together with her colleague, some other apps as well. So I know there are a lot of good apps out there. But and then the third one you mentioned was Chopra.
And calm, and then Chopra.
And calm spelled
C-A-
yes, normal way.
CALM.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and Chopra. Deepak Chopra. I think it's under the Deepak Chopra Center.
Right.
Yeah.
And Deepak being spelled Deepak, correct?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Okay, great. Thank you.
So, these, if and remember, our thoughts are, if we focus on how bad this is going to be bad. Okay, it's like, you ever done an exercise when someone said, look for all the red in the room, but you miss the gorilla or all the green in the room or something that happened? We do a lot of these exercises as a coach for people who are concentrating on one thing.
Right.
So it's a shift it's a reframing of your mind. What ease can this situation bring you? How can you create ease for your family? And it really, again, comes back to you. I know people don't understand this or may not understand this, but setting it's a choice point in your head, but a way to get there, Patrick, is to set up a good routine. I start every morning with meditation. All right. It's about 5 to 10 minutes because it takes a while to get there and it's going to be really difficult to start right now. But if you start with a minute, I would say a minute every 3 hours or every time before you have a meal. Maybe you could say a prayer and use that as your meditation and some deep breathing, if that makes sense.
Tara, we have a caller on the line who has a question for you, I understand.
Sure.
So as soon as Susan is ready, I think that she'll be putting that caller through. But in the meantime, if I could just contextualize what I've garnered from what you've said thus far. Essentially, the message that I'm understanding is that given that we have no control over the future, which is always the case, but in particular, we tend to worry that much more and try to plan and anticipate that much more when we are faced with a crisis such as the COVID-19 pandemic. We being human beings in general, and this is behavior which has been recorded all over the globe, basically. And if we remember to balance that by seeking to take time out for ourselves in order to focus on, for example, a bit of meditation, a bit of clearing the mind, a bit of de-stressing, it helps our process. And for us to be in the now, we continue to be more functional, more productive if we can take that time to do that. Is that correct, ma'am?
That is exactly it.
Okay.
We have to get our bodies, our minds well.
Yes. So, and of course, we can't stress how important that is, given that we've been told over and over again that the health of the mind and the health of the body are interlinked, and so stress produces more stress and it spirals downwards, and at the same time, if you're able to remove yourself from those stressful situations, at least for a period of time, that helps to produce some positivity, which helps you to carry on, basically.
Yeah.
We've lost the caller, unfortunately, but so
Can I just
yes.
that the reason why it's very important to bring down our stress levels, okay, is we have a vagus nerve. I may not be saying that properly. It might be vagal nerve,
Okay.
but it's in our gut.
Okay.
All right. So that's why gut health is also extremely important. And this nerve controls our sympathetic, our para and sympathetic nervous system. So it is our driver. The more stress we have, the more it impacts on our immunity system. You ask any diabetic in the world, all right, just how about, I mean, if they're fine and their sugars are usually under control, but if they are stressed, they notice it the next day in their sugars. The same thing with anybody with high blood pressure. And that is why I think all the experts are concentrating on, and I've been doing this with my clients long before now, um, to get you to connect to your breath because that is where it begins. All right, with your belly, deep belly diaphragmatic breath. It is not chest breathing. And I see some of our leaders up on the stage and they're breathing from their chest. You can see where they're coming from. And of course, they're trying to save our lives. I get that. And we're not understanding some of the issues that they're trying to say, stay at home. Okay, man. Maybe people are saying all they want me to do is, all they're doing is restricting my movements. All right. But they're not. They're trying to keep us alive. Lockdown is not a lockdown. They are keeping me safe. That's how I'm looking at it, if that makes sense.
So, pardon me, Ms. Tara, we have to go for
Sure.
a short commercial break, but we'd ask the audience to stay tuned. We'll be right back with Tara Bush and our discussion on de-stressing.
Social distancing is crucial for our community to get back to normal. And never before has communication been so crucial. Keeping in touch with family, friends, and up to date requires you to stay in touch. Green Turtle offers the solution for both. Download the Green Turtle app now. Top up yours or a loved one's phone with any mobile carrier in any destination in Cayman. Phones delivered to your home, and with the new rewards program, you can even redeem points towards a new phone and other products. Download the Green Turtle app today. Green Turtle is not only the future of mobile, but today it can help save a life. Hashtag Stay Home Cayman. Take a ride on the Green Turtle Express today. Download the Green Turtle app. The future of mobile, saving lives today.
At Seaboard Marine, customers often ask us questions about their shipments.
I have various items coming from different suppliers that I need to ship to Cayman. Do you offer consolidation?
Yes, Seaboard Marine offers consolidation for full and less than container loads. We can hold your packages at our Miami warehouse until everything arrives and ship it all in one go. And we have the best rates to Grand Cayman. Visit seaboardmarine.com for more information.
Shipping shore to shore,
This is a public service announcement from your Radio Cayman, your community radio station. Here are some coronavirus prevention tips.
Home isolation means staying indoors and completely avoiding contact with other people. You need to do this if you have symptoms of COVID-19. If you are practicing home isolation, you should stay in a well-ventilated room with a window to outside that can be opened separate from other people in your home. Keep the door closed and use a separate bathroom from the rest of the household, if available. If you have to share these facilities, regular sterilization will be required. Consider drawing up a bathroom schedule for washing or bathing and have the isolated person using the facilities last.
For the latest updates and information, please visit hsa.ky/public-health/coronavirus or gov.ky/coronavirus.
Talk today. but I do have some questions.
Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Good afternoon, and thank you for tuning in to Talk Today. I'm speaking right now with Ms. Tara Bush in her capacity as a coach, health coach in particular, and so she was sharing with us some excellent advice about how to manage stress in particular during these difficult times. Ms. Tara?
Hi, Patrick. Thanks for having me back on. I only have a couple more minutes because I'm one of the co-chairs for the Cayman Islands Wellness Committee, and we do daily wellness webinars for civil servants, and I help to host that. So we have an expert coming on today. Anyway, so how do we get our bodies, or feed our bodies to help our mind? Okay. One of the things is working out, movement. Okay. Again, the breathing, movement. I know we're not supposed to hug, but you can pet a dog or a cat. And if you are in a household and it's your spouse, I would suggest that we still keep contact with each other.
Yes.
I'm still trying to navigate through this, right? Like us all. Realize that for right now, we're okay. All right. And when the crazy thoughts come up, connect to your brain, call, and your breath. If that doesn't work, because it may not work, then you call someone, your most positive friend, whether, or if you need a therapist, you call the hotline.
Yes.
Okay. You can realize right now you're okay. And I would suggest that you stay away from sugar. Sugar and high fat foods cause depression.
As well as interrupts your breathing your sleeping patterns, I would imagine.
Yes, sir. Yeah. And that's another very good point. Sleep. If we can get 7 to 8 hours sleep a night, all right. When we wake up, I wake up and I get my lime and my warm water. Then I start my meditation. I go for my walks. I don't overdo the hour and a half walk that we have on us.
Of course.
I try to drink lots and lots and lots of water throughout the day. I plan my meals for the week. And I would suggest that parents do that with their kids and have a pandemic, how to eat healthy as a pandemic meeting with your family and get what everybody wants so that everybody can feel included. Because food is a very important part of our socialization and reenacting with our family. So, I don't know where we are in this process yet. Some people have very tight pocketbooks, and I would suggest that they have like chicken and maybe some quinoa or brown rice, or if they must have the white rice, mix it with vegetables, your corned beef and cabbage, ground beef and potatoes and carrots. Mix it up with your vegetables.
Right.
Positive thoughts. See yourself in the future, if you can, maybe as a god. Maybe all you can look forward to right now is planting your garden or do some artwork if you're art inclined, or listen to music, or find that happy place within you. and eliminate the negativity around you as much as possible. Allow the people around you. One of the things I'm doing for me is I think I'm pleased I do not have COVID-19, but I am thinking that I have it in me, so I have to be careful as so not to spread it to other people.
Right. Behave as if you do at all times, in other words.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Sage
That's
advice.
how I am. So I'm not looking at my neighbor as they're having the disease, because then I feel that that creates anxiety and resentment and less compassion for people who really need compassion at this moment. We need compassion for ourselves. So that's how I am training my mind to be as responsible as I can be. And I just, I'm just, I'm just like everybody else. When the crazy thoughts get me, Patrick, I say, for right now, I have everything I need. For right now, everybody's around me is safe. And I call, if that doesn't help, then I call people to help build me up. And I'm trying to up level the conversation of trying to find a way to be the solution for people in the island. So how can we help? This is going to change our financial landscape. And that's another anxiety issue that we need to address.
Yes, and I'm sorry. The reason why I'm not verbally agreeing with you is I don't want to interrupt the flow of the conversation because of the use of the app that we're utilizing at the moment. But just to say that obviously I agree with what you're saying. You're the professional, so you know but much better than I do. But certainly it is such an important thing to be able to focus on the mind and do whatever is necessary to ensure that you are thinking those positive thoughts as much as possible. And never before, I would say, certainly not in recent history, has it been so applicable that old saying about plan for tomorrow but live in today. And I think that is very, everything you've told us plays to that particular important factor.
Yeah, I mean, and I think too that I tell myself I have the inner resolve. I mean, this is something I learned from Chopra today in a conversation. They're encouraging people to reframe their thought pattern. So when you say, "Oh, I don't have any future," consider this as an opportunity, and that everything you have everything inside of you for right now to make something happen. And eventually your mind will work on the solution. Okay. If you can find quiet time, if you can bring down your sympathetic nervous system and activate your parasympathetic nervous system. Because once we're in that sympathetic nervous system, we're making bad decisions normally. All right, because we're high stress. And remember to think as social distances. I love this one. I take this opportunity to find a way to connect differently. Okay.
Right.
I mean, our family's going to have a Zoom conversation on Friday. That's not something we've ever done before. And but we have family overseas, so it's going to be nice to be in the same room but not the same room as each other and talk and share and I don't know, we're going to find new ways of being, you know.
Have that affirmation. But Ms. Tara, I'd like to thank you. I know you have to run to your next obligation, but I'd like to thank you for coming on and talk today today and assisting us and clarifying these types of approaches that are so important for the bringing up the parasympathetic aspect of our nervous system and becoming more calm to the extent possible. It's a pleasure to have you on. Please feel free to call us again whenever you can. But we do have to go to commercial break now. So stay tuned and we'll be back shortly with Talk Today.
Digicel is all about giving customers more convenience, more peace of mind, and more flexibility. Do more with the new My Digicel app. Buy plans, pay your bill, track your credit, track your data, and monitor your account. It's easy to use and has everything you need in one place. It's time to simplify your life, so go ahead and see for yourself. Download the new My Digicel app today. More made simple.
Honey, our fridge has stopped working again. Everything in the freezer is melting. We need to get this repaired right away. I'm calling Brand Source Service.
When you need the very best appliance service, call Brand Source Service at 623-5000. Offering service and installation of all brands and models of appliances. Brand Source Service is Cayman's source for appliance parts and repairs with qualified and experienced technicians and the island's largest stock of appliance parts. Brand Source Service will have your repair completed in a flash. So, whatever the problem is, call the experts at 623-5000. Brand Source Service, Dorsey Drive, Industrial Park. Telephone 623-5000.
Radio Cayman News.
Cayman's positive cases of COVID-19 spiked to 12 over the weekend.
Hundreds are waiting to enter since supermarkets opened for the first time since going on lockdown.
The soft curfew provides for limited activities only.
Checkpoints are in place at strategic locations across Grand Cayman.
Take seriously the threat that we are facing.
Radio Cayman, your official source for Cayman's COVID-19 response. Hear it here first.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Good afternoon and welcome back to Talk Today. Thank you for staying tuned. I hope that everyone out there is being as safe as possible and exercising the various practices that we have been advised to practice. Regular washing of hands, of course, the necessary physical distancing of 6 feet at a minimum from other persons, so as to not expose anyone else to the possibility of COVID-19. And also just remembering to stay as positive as possible, to think both about the present as well as the future, bearing in mind that we will have a future. We will get through this. It's going to be tough or tougher at times, but it will get better and we will turn the corner. We are going to have joining us not too long from now a representative from the Department of Counseling Services, and so we look forward to that person's joining the conversation and assisting us to understand what is currently being made available, including, of course, as Ms. Tara had mentioned just a few minutes ago, the mental health hotline. And by way of reminder, that hotline is 1-800-534-6463. 1-800-534-6463, and it is available from Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. until 5 p.m. Of course, if there are emergencies, then that is a different issue, and one should simply call 911 for any emergency that you may have. Also, I know that there have been quite a few inquiries. In fact, I myself have received some inquiries regarding what is being done for the elderly in particular. And I know that that the government is working on various efforts. Yesterday, the Honorable Premier announced that there was a package, one-off supplemental payment that was certainly being prepared for anyone in need. And they were, to date, had quite a number of persons on that list, or families on that list, and we're processing a further 81 applications. That's through the NAU, is my understanding. So anyone who considers that they may be in need in the very near future, due to the fact that we don't know how long we're going to be challenged by this pandemic, that it is good and important to get yourself registered now and to attend to all of the logistics that requires as soon as possible, or get someone to help you. And certainly there are people at the NAU and the Department of Children and Family Services who can also assist you to the extent that you need assistance with making the necessary applications. Also, just take this opportunity to remind our listening audience that you can, of course, call at any point in time on right up until 2 o'clock when we break for the press briefing. And the numbers, by way of reminder, 949-8037, or toll-free courtesy of Flow, 1-800-534-8255. Or indeed, you can send us a WhatsApp message on 925-3261. Please note we cannot take calls on this number, so please do not call that number. You can leave voicemail messages, but or voice messages rather, but please do not call the number. And also you can email us on talktoday@candw.ky. I will also take this opportunity as I received a call from Mr. Connor, who was on this morning, of course, and he indicated that that there was a message that was received that he had promised that he would relay, and has thus asked me to ensure that it is relayed. And it's concerning an issue that's been brought to him by a particular fisherman, and I will just proceed to read the the WhatsApp message to you. But we, to the best of my knowledge, we do not, as of now, know if any particular steps have been taken in terms of additional assistance to be rendered, or what exactly are the procedures being employed in terms of processing fish that are coming in on boats that maybe have been out at sea for some days now. So the WhatsApp reads as follows. Good morning. I would like to touch a little on the commercial fishing boats. Weekly, with all the registered boats that bring fish in, it is about 15 to 20,000 pounds. We ourselves own 2 boats which brought over 9,400 pounds of fish last week, and the next day the fish was finished. That's only 2 boats, to give you an idea of how much is consumed in Cayman. The supermarkets can only receive a certain amount of the fish, so therefore the majority is sold by the waterfront. If this is stopped, then we'll be putting more strain on the supermarkets as well, as there'll be less supply. When the boats arrive, we will do a 2-week quarantine of any person who has left the boat, though I don't really see how that's possible. This is my own edification because they're purportedly at sea the entire time. So I'm not sure what the relevance of that particular comment is, but just continuing. After that, we should be allowed to go back to sea. I'm feeding 8 crew members daily, and whilst the crew members are at sea, then there is no exposure, which is exactly what I just said. These guys go to sea 200 miles offshore where there is only sea. The person goes on, with the selling of fish on the waterfront, it is crucial at this time that we be allowed to continue. And we can practice, of course, the relevant social distancing, etc. All we need is 1 or 2 station officers to overlook the selling of fish, and that they be put in place like in the same way that the supermarkets are doing. Thank you very much, and have a good day. So that was the content of the fisherman writing to Mr. Connor this morning, and indeed I'm passing on that message. Perhaps you will hear soon from the relevant authorities as to what procedures have been put in place in order to manage that particular situation. And also everyone is reminded of the fact that there is next week the start of the air bridge from the UK, which will be bringing predominantly personal protection devices and other necessities, and then we'll leave with those persons who have sought registration and expressed their interest in traveling on that air bridge back to the UK. There's no special sort of priority set up. It's a question of first come, first served, to the best of my knowledge. And if you need further information on that, of course, you can call in and we can give you the number if you don't already have it. So just in preparation for the conversation that we will be starting shortly, we're going to be discussing or focusing on the services offered by the Counseling Center. So we're going to have the Counseling Center call in via the app, and they will be able to address any concerns that you might have, and in particular whether you have questions, issues that have arisen that hasn't previously been addressed, and just give you an opportunity to interact with the Counseling Center direct and ensure that all of your needs are being met. So what I think would be best is that we go to a commercial break at this time, and as soon as we return from the commercial break, we should have the Counseling Center on the line. Just prior to that, we're going to go directly to the news, pardon me. And that's going to be exactly at 1 o'clock. So for further 2 minutes, I'll just take the opportunity to mention that after we speak with the representatives of the Counseling Center, we will have a local company as guests that are going to announce the personal protection device that they are assisting in making, and the particular program that they have set up based on a European model for individuals to create their own face masks for the protection of, well, in particular of other persons, really, because as was explained by Dr. Lee in a recent press briefing, the face masks are particularly important for others, and therefore if a person who's wearing a face mask actually coughs, then that the droplets and so on are contained within the face mask. Nurse Hazel Brown, Dr. Hazel Brown, had also made the point previously that those of us who are wearing gloves, who are wearing face masks, must bear in mind that there are special protocols for keeping those clean as well. And so the sanitation and so on of gloves and masks must be practiced, and we must not forget that anything that we have, whether we're just using our hands or whether we're wearing gloves, they all have to be washed regularly. So without further ado, we're going to go straight to the news, and right afterwards we'll have the Counseling Center on the line.
From district to district, moving through the waters to Cayman Bracken, Little Cayman. Your station, your voice. All things Cayman, one radio, many people. This is home.
Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman.
It's only 2 species that we have here on the island.
Generations present.
Your voice, your choice.
For today's biggest news.
Access.
Local, regional, international, this is headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom team.
Today's biggest news.
COVID-19 is spreading in the Cayman community. As you heard live here on Radio Cayman, government officials announced the first confirmed cases of local transmission of the disease. Out of 13 results to report on Tuesday, 11 tested negative and 2 have tested positive, neither of whom had a travel history. Government says protocols of social distancing, keeping hands clean by washing with soap and water frequently, and staying home to minimize the spread of the virus must be followed stringently. So far, of the 220 tested, 205 have tested negative and 14 positive, with 1 inconclusive test result still awaiting. In news elsewhere, U.S. health authorities are debating whether to recommend face coverings for everyone when they go out in public. One internal memo for the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention says that even simple cloth masks could help reduce the risk of virus transmission, the Washington Post reports. U.S. President Donald Trump has suggested that individuals could use a scarf. Current guidelines say that masks only need to be worn by healthcare workers, the sick, and those caring for them. There have been over 190,000 cases of coronavirus in the U.S., with about 4,000 deaths. Wimbledon has cancelled for the first time since World War II because of the coronavirus pandemic. The tournament was due to be played between June 29th and July 12th. The entire grass court season has been abandoned, and there'll be no professional tennis anywhere in the world until at least July 13th. Wimbledon is the latest major summer sporting event to be called off, with Euro 2020 and the Tokyo Olympics postponed for 12 months. It follows the postponement of the French Open, which was due to begin in May, but has been rescheduled to September 20th through October 4th. Those are your latest updates here on Radio Cayman. I'm Shanda Gallego.
Stay in touch with Radio Cayman for the latest in news and information.
Follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, www.radiocayman.gov.ky.
Radio Cayman, your voice, your choice, your radio.
Vamped Motors encourages everyone to stay home in compliance with our government's directives, which are absolutely critical to protect our islands from the coronavirus. In light of this, Vamped Motors will be closed from Wednesday the 25th of March for 10 days, or until our Cayman Islands government gives us the all-clear to return to work. Please, everyone, be safe and let's get through this together by staying apart.
For nearly 20 years, King Sports Center has been the heart of the Cayman fitness and wellness community. In order to ensure the welfare of all, we are temporarily closed until further notified by the Cayman Islands government that it is safe to reopen. During these trying times, we encourage everyone to maintain a healthy lifestyle, mind, body, and soul. We look forward to continuing providing you with world-class service in the very near future. Remain strong and continue to show the world the power of Cayman unity. King Sports Center, your one-stop shop for fitness, recreation, and relaxation.
Social distancing is crucial for our community to get back to normal, and never before has communication been so crucial. Keeping in touch with family, friends, and up to date requires you to stay in touch. Green Turtle offers the solution for both. Download the Green Turtle app now. Top up yours or a loved one's phone with any mobile carrier in any destination in Cayman. Phones delivered to your home, and with the new rewards program, you can even redeem points towards a new phone and other products. Download the Green Turtle app today. Green Turtle is not only the future of mobile, but today it can help save a life. #Stay Home Cayman. Take a ride on the Green Turtle Express today. Download the Green Turtle app. The future of mobile, saving lives today.
The Cayman Islands government would like to remind the public that e-services are available for vehicle license renewal, trade and business licensing, police clearance, and other transactions. Skip the line and apply online. E-services are user-friendly, efficient, and most important, you can apply and pay from the comfort of your home. Visit eservices.gov.ky.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waging to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Good afternoon and welcome back to Talk Today. We are right now waiting for a call from our contacts at the Cayman Counseling Services. And so as soon as they call in, we will be speaking with a representative from Counseling Services, which is, I believe, a part of the Family Resource Center services as well. And we'll be hearing about the various services that they're currently offering. They have a number of services which they offer generally, but in particular, in light of COVID-19, have ramped up various additional services, not least of which, of course, is the previously mentioned mental health helpline, which is, of course, 1-800-534-6463. So as soon as they call us, we will be going directly to that call. And we do, of course, have the line so that you can call in with any particular questions or concerns that you may have. It may not be directly related to our current topic, but certainly we are open to discuss any particular concerns that you may raise. We've had a number of people who are commenting on the questions that are being asked in the daily press briefing, for example. Whether or not those are adequate to address the concerns of the general public, whether the public's questions are being answered in terms that the public can easily consume, so to speak, and take on board and ensure compliance with. So there's a question of whether there's a thorough understanding of the information which is being disseminated. We're very grateful, of course, for the press briefings, the daily updates, but just a number of our callers have actually expressed that they are somewhat confused sometimes by the information, or in some instances, what appears to be a lack of information. So with that having been said, just like to also say that we did have yesterday, and I don't think that I had previously mentioned this, but in addition to the package that the Honorable Premier mentioned in yesterday's press briefing for persons in need, he also announced that there would be a specific helpline set up for elderly persons as well. And in that regard, every effort will be made to ensure that no person is left unattended to, no person is left on their own or without assistance where needed. Of course, if you feel that you may have been exposed to COVID-19, the best thing to do is to call the HSA on the HSA Public Health line, dedicated line, which is 1-800-534-8600 or 947-3077. And you can also send an email to them at flu@hsa.ky, and they will then give you the necessary advice relevant to the flu, what does constitute relevant symptoms, what may just be a common cold, etc. And of course, in the bigger picture view of things, we must remember that even if we are so unfortunate as to contract the symptoms of COVID-19, that in and of itself, that is not a death sentence. Most people survive, especially if it is caught early and treated properly. So I believe we now have a representative on the line, or a caller. We have a caller. So good afternoon, caller. You're in Talk Today.
Good afternoon, Patrick.
Good afternoon.
Do you happen to know if the Premier, we've been listening to the press briefings, and and I am so happy to know that the government is doing things in the right direction, and I appreciate all that they're doing. You just mentioned that he did say about the elderly, that no one would be left out.
That's
Do
right.
you know if he mentioned anything about the little children that mostly in primary schools and even some in high school that usually get something to eat, mostly it's breakfast or lunch or both? Do you know if anything is being done about that, or maybe he did mention, and if he did, I'm sorry, I didn't hear. I was hoping that if it wasn't mentioned before, that the question should be asked to the Premier or I just or Mr. Minister Seymour, whatever if it hasn't been mentioned, like I said before, it should be mentioned who is doing lunch and breakfast or breakfast for the poor little kids,
Right.
that depends on that all the time. And then I was so happy to hear Pastor Allison a prayer before the press briefing, and I hope that many more pastors would follow that lead. Thank you very much, Patrick,
Okay,
and
so
good afternoon.
well, before you go, I can answer your question for you in relation to the younger kids. Of course, none of the children are in school. The schools are all shut. But it wasn't in yesterday's press briefing, but in fact, prior to that, it had been announced that the Department of for Children and Family Services has actually set up a number of different helplines, as well as put systems in place to assist persons, including younger children, as well as setting up a special unit, if you will, for the protection of persons such as elderly or younger children who may be at risk, whatever that risk may consist of. And so that has actually been done through the Department of the DCFS, and they can actually be contacted in relation to child protection services. For example, their multi-agency safeguarding hub, or MASH as it is referred to, is available on 1-800-534-2273 or 945-0545. So that department, and in particular that unit of the department, has been charged with responsibility for care of children, and in particular to pay attention for matters concerning child protection.
Yes, I understand that, Patrick, but I'm talking about something to eat.
Right. At this stage, I couldn't specifically address that, but I know that there are various organizations, both governmental and non-governmental, that are doing their best to assist, create food banks and so on, and to actually provide food. You have the ongoing efforts of the various organizations, the service clubs, as well as Meals on Wheels and other such organizations, as well as individual private companies, for example. But I'll see if I can find out any additional information on that. We do have another caller on the line, however, so I'd like to thank you very much for your call, and we need to go to the next caller, please.
Yes, thank you.
Good afternoon, caller. You're on Talk Today.
Yeah, good afternoon, Mr. Schmid.
Good afternoon, sir. How are you?
I am really kind of annoyed of one of the big members of society, the Christian faith. If you go on TV and you see them all the time preaching, and the three most popular words is for your gift. If you go on YouTube, you find how many millions and millions most of them are worth. But I do not hear or see anything, and it could be that any of them are donating some of these millions to help people at a time like this. Eh? And even came on, we could pray for you, but that doesn't cost them anything. Most of them really do not even know how to pray. I can be very critical of that. Don't cut me off, but, my Bible says when you pray, forgive. If you do not forgive, neither will you be forgiven.
Right.
But their point, just do what you want, get up and pray, and God will forgive you and you save, which is not what the Bible says. Right? The same with learn to forgive. And it also says, when you pray, believe that you will receive it, and you will receive it. So obviously, there's only a few people, especially in Cayman, have been praying with that kind of prayer, because we have been delivered from this coronavirus in a big, big way. And I don't think it's those that are praying, oh, help me, Lord, but the rest of them, let them get killed. They're socialists, they're communists, they come to different churches. That is not the way we should pray. Job was delivered from his, when he prayed for his friends.
So, sir, pardon me, if I could just ask you,
yes, sir.
When you are saying that you are somewhat upset with the organizations, you're referring to what you consider to be a lack of involvement on the part of the churches, for example?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
And they're fighting. I give you a big example right here, right? Now, America is stopping people from even opening up so Venezuela can get food and medicine. They've done that with Cuba as well. Oh, they're socialist countries. But there are millions of good Christian people in these countries. And America considers herself a Christian nation. And they are the ones fighting against their fellow man. Now, look, I am a Christian. I'm proud to be, and I try to follow the ways of the Christ. But I'm also a great believer in socialism because of what I see them doing for their people.
Yes, sir.
Right? Look, I mean, America is stopping their own people from getting off a ship to get back home to their families.
Yes, sir.
Right?
So,
now, give me a...
Yes. Just to let you know, sir, that we have a caller on the line as well as our next guest waiting. So if you could just perhaps tie it together for me, and then that would be tremendous. I'd appreciate it very much. Okay. So what we're going to do now is we have one more caller on the line. So I think that we need to go and take that call now, Ms. Susan. Good afternoon, caller. You're on Talk Today.
Yes, sir. Just saying thanks to the media for that's all the media for still coming out at a time like this and giving us some form of continuity and, a platform to, talk about the things that are irking us at a time like this. So, thank you very much, guys.
Yes, ma'am. And we certainly appreciate the persons such as yourself who take the time to call, and even if it's just to say thanks, because that means a lot. It means that the program is having the desired effect and giving our people a chance to express whatever it is that they want to express. So you hit the nail on the head in terms of a question that I wanted to ask, and indeed I did raise yesterday. So thank you for your call.
Yes, and I'd also like to just say thank you to your previous caller, Mr. Sam, for always beating the drum. Thanks much.
Yes, ma'am, and thank you too. And I hope that that you and your family continue to remain well, and do feel free to call in whenever you wish.
Yes, sir.
So we're going to go to a commercial break now, right after which we will have our guest.
Digicel Shake to Win is back. Every Saturday, Digicel is giving you a chance to win LTE handsets, cash prizes, data, D-Music subscription, gas vouchers, grocery vouchers, and that's not all. Every week, you get a chance to win a $5,000 regional prize. Don't miss out. Simply download the new My Digicel app, activate a plan if you're not already on one, and shake to win every Saturday. It's that simple. My Digicel. More made simple. Terms and conditions apply.
Preventing dengue is as simple as preventing mosquito bites. Use a mosquito repellent, wear protective clothing, and stay indoors during early dawn and dusk when mosquitoes are most active. Control the places around you where mosquitoes breed. Remove stagnant water in outdoor and household settings. As a weekly habit, persons should change the water in vases, clear the water in saucers under potted plants, and ensure air conditioner drip trays are free of stagnant water. Outdoor objects capable of holding water should be kept empty and preferably disposed of or put into dry storage if not used. These include open bottles and tins, watering cans, buckets, empty paint tins, and old vehicle tires. Do your part to control the spread of dengue. The dengue virus is an infectious disease transmitted through mosquito bites. Symptoms may come on as early as 4 days or as late as 3 weeks following an infection. There is no vaccine or specific medication to treat dengue. Symptoms of dengue include high fever, headache, pain behind the eyes, joint and muscle pain, and rash. If persons have any of these symptoms, they should go to the nearest health center or hospital. It is advised to drink lots of liquids and avoid medication that contains aspirin.
Hi, my name is Neraya LeBlanc. I am the minister and evangelist to the West Bay Church of Christ on 24 Batabano Road. I would love to take this opportunity to invite you to experience God's family at West Bay for yourself. We are a caring congregation that strongly believes in reaching out beyond ourselves to spread the gospel of Christ. We also take great pleasure in ministering to the needs of our people in our community. As God's called out kingdom people, we are in the business of transforming lives for the Master's use. For more information, you can visit our website at westbaycichurchofchrist.org or call us at 946-9294 or 917-1809.
Declaring the word of the Lord.
Cayman Islands Church of Christ presents Word of the Lord.
Word of the Lord, heard Sundays at 6:30 p.m. on Radio Cayman.
Listen to the general public.
Your thoughts are just a telephone call away. 1-800-534-8255.
What the public is saying.
Let your voice be heard. And now,
Radio Cayman's Talk Today.
Good afternoon, and thank you for staying tuned to Talk Today. This is Patrick Schmid, standing in for Sterling Dwayne Banks. Just a quick reminder that we have the government press briefing coming up at 2 o'clock, and prior to that, we have two guests on the show, and so I'm just going to go directly to our guest who's currently waiting to be joined via our app, and I believe it's Mr. Andre Bailey, a program facilitator at the Family Resource Center. Good afternoon, Mr. Bailey. Are you there?
Yes, I'm here, Patrick. Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure, sir. So, Mr. Bailey, would you like to tell us the purpose? I had understood, to be honest, that you were going to be speaking specifically about the counseling services, but that may not be the case. So, if you could give us some insight into what you'll be speaking to, then that would be tremendous.
Well, we are promoting from the family, Andre Bailey from the Family Resource Center, and yes, we are promoting the counseling services because we understand that in a time like this that our community might be having difficulties.
Yes.
So the ministry has opened the mental health helpline, and I heard it on your program. You have been promoting a 1-800-534-6463 number for persons to call if they are experiencing any difficulties, any mental health issues, any tips or strategies that they need to cope with the current condition of our community and a worldwide pandemic that's going on. But from the Family Resource Center, we also want to let the general public know that the services for the Family Resource Center are still available. We have our telehealth services that are available for all to still partake in. We are taking new intakes for new clients. Our phone lines are still open, 949-0006. That's 949-0006. We may be contacted by email, frc@gov.ky. Persons could follow us on social media for updates, as well as parenting resources, or they could visit our website, frc.gov.ky, and our services are still open, and we want the public to be aware that we are here to support them through this time. Island-wide restrictions and the coronavirus has persons feeling anxious and nervous sometimes, and we are here to support them through this period.
That's excellent, sir. And so can I just inquire with you, for the benefit of our listening audience, the number that you mentioned, 949-0006, that number is available for calls. Is it on a 24-hour basis or not?
Well, that number is available for our office hours. Currently, we're operating 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. So persons are able to call between 9 a.m. and 6 p.m. and a facilitator will be assigned to work with that person. We are still doing case management, so when some person might need assistance, I know that there has been concerns about assistance now and how persons can access relevant services and so on through our case management services that we are offering, that persons can get assistance with that. We're also doing crisis intervention during this period as well. I mean, we're working in collaboration with other entities in the island, for example, the Cayman Island Crisis Center and the Alliance, but we do from the Family Resource Center and offer crisis intervention, and if persons are having any sort of crisis intervention, we encourage them to call the police, but we are offering those services as well.
Right, sir. And so you're part of the MASH grouping of the multiple agency special grouping that actually assists persons who are in need, whether they be elderly persons, whether they be children who need special protection, whatever the case may be. Is that correct?
Well, the Family Resource Center is not directly a part of the MASH Multi-Agency Safeguarding Hub.
Right.
We are partner agencies that work in collaboration with MASH.
Okay.
So the entities work together. So we make referrals to them, and they make referrals to us, depending on what the situation is. And like I said, we as facilitators, we facilitate that coordination and that cooperation and that collaboration between entities.
Right. And I believe as a part of your ongoing service that's still operational as well, you have the for persons who may wish to obtain legal advice about the various things that tend to crop up in day-to-day life. You have the Legal Befrienders phone line, which is still available on Tuesdays from 5:30 to 6:30 p.m. Is that correct, sir?
That is correct. The phone number. So yes, Legal Befrienders are up. They're operational right now. It's on Tuesdays, like you said, 5:30 to 6:30. They're about. The phone number for that is 945-8869. So persons are still able to access these free legal services on Tuesdays during that time period.
Right, sir. And also, can I just ask you for a bit of clarification? I know that the Counseling Center has on its website, for example, or rather the Family Resource Center has on its website the counseling services number, which is listed as 949-8789. Is that still in operation in tandem with the mental health helpline that has been set up?
Right. Both numbers are operational. So if persons call the mental health helpline or they call the 949-8789 number, they will be able to access services, which will be routed to different officers who are available and standing by to assist the public.
Right. Thank you so much. Also, do you have, would you have any information? We've just had a query about provisions for kids who would normally receive food at school, for example. Do you know anything, or is your particular is the Family Resource Center at all involved in that aspect of things, or is that mainly just the remit of the Department of Children and Family Services?
Well, the Department of Children and Family Services are the ones who are handling that.
Right.
If persons contact the FRC in that regard, through our collaboration and interagency networking, we might be able to provide assistance in getting them connected to the correct persons at the BCFS to get those services offered to them.
Excellent, excellent. And of course, just to remind our listening audience that they can call in if they have a question for Mr. Bailey in relation to the Family Resource Center and the various services that he has mentioned, including parenting services, ongoing case management, the webinars. I believe you made reference to that, sir.
Well, what we are trying to do, seeing that we have, the offices are not operational at present, in terms of face-to-face contact, we have been trying to reach out to our audiences.
Yes, sir.
So we have started doing a lot of more online work than usual. With that comes our parenting webinars, which are posted on our Facebook page or website itself, and we also have a YouTube account where all our webinars are posted. So weekly we're going to be posting different webinars as parenting resources to help our families cope during COVID-19.
Okay, excellent. And so, did you have any additional comments that you'd like to add at this stage, or shall we go to a short commercial break and return for a few moments to discuss your closing remarks and any questions that might arise in the interim?
Well, as always, we're encouraging the public to remain calm. Mm-hmm. We understand that these times are stressing times, and there are it's a new normal, as it's been called. It's a new normal where persons are staying home and they're working from home and their children are at home. And we want to encourage the public to remain calm and to understand that support is available for them. So after the break, we will talk more about that. But we just want everybody to know that we are here, we're available, we're still open. Our services are almost 100%, and we are here to support you through this difficult time.
Thank you so much, Mr. Bailey. So please stay tuned to Talk Today. We'll be right back with the Family Resource Center.
This is a message from the Port Authority Cayman. Due to space limitations, it will issue an exemption letter to allow persons that have imported cargo to clear and collect their goods. If you would like to request an exemption for collection of cargo only, you are asked to call the Port Authority Billing Office on 949-2055. That's 949-2055. The exemption letter will be for a specified date and time and is valid only for the collection of cargo. 6 feet social distancing must be practiced at all times during collections.
Social distancing is crucial for our community to get back to normal, and never before has communication been so crucial. Keeping in touch with family, friends, and up to date requires you to stay in touch. Green Turtle offers the solution for both. Download the Green Turtle app now. Top up yours or a loved one's phone with any mobile carrier in any destination in Cayman. Phones delivered to your home, and with the new rewards program, you can even redeem points towards a new phone and other products. Download the Green Turtle app today. Green Turtle is not only the future of mobile, but today it can help save a life. Hashtag Stay Home Cayman. Take a ride on the Green Turtle Express today. Download the Green Turtle app. The future of mobile, saving lives today.
Supermarket shoppers, please pay attention. Until further notice,
members of the public will only be allowed to shop by surname. Adults with last names beginning in A through K will be allowed to enter supermarkets in order to shop for essential goods on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Adults with last name beginning in L through Z will be allowed to enter supermarkets in order to shop for essential goods on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. Supermarkets have adopted the following opening hours Monday to Saturday. All Foster's location, including Price Right, open 6 a.m. until 6 p.m. with the first hour of operation from 6 a.m. to 7 a.m. solely dedicated to senior citizens, disabled persons, and pregnant women. Essential service staff will have a dedicated line from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. each day. Hurley's Marketplace opening from 7 a.m. until 6 p.m. with the first hour of operation from 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. solely dedicated to senior citizens, disabled persons, and pregnant women. Essential service staff will have a dedicated line from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. each day. Cost You Less opening from 7 a.m. until 6 p.m. with the first hour of operation from 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. solely dedicated to senior citizens, disabled persons, and pregnant women. Essential service staff will have a dedicated line from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. each day. Kirk Market opening 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Once again, adults with last names beginning in A through K will be allowed to enter supermarkets in order to shop for essential goods on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Adults with last name beginning in L through Z will be allowed to enter supermarkets in order to shop for essential goods on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. This has been a public service announcement from Radio Cayman, your official radio station.
Listen to the general public.
Your thoughts are just a telephone call away. 1-800-534-8255.
What the public is saying.
Let your voice be heard. And now,
Radio Cayman's Talk Today.
Good afternoon and welcome back to Talk Today. This is Patrick Schmid standing in for Sterling Dwayne Banks. I'm presently speaking with a representative of the Family Resource Center in the form of Mr. Andre Bailey, a program facilitator. Mr. Bailey, are you still with us?
Yes, I am.
Excellent. Thank you, sir. So I just wanted to quickly first clarify that in relation to the question I'd raised earlier about provisions of food and other items for children who are in need. That is something which is actually being handled and it can be referred through the multi-agency facility that is offered and the work that the various government departments do together, but is being offered through the NAU as opposed to DCFS, Department of Children and Family Services, strictly speaking. You can, of course, contact them or the Family Resource Unit, who can then refer refer it on to the NEU, is my understanding. But Mr. Bailey, I'd like to give you an opportunity to summarize the programs that you were speaking to just prior to the break, and so that we would have that out there for the listening audience, and as we have the next guest ready to come on as well.
Okay. So our intake services are still up and available. Intake for new clients. We could call us between 9 a.m. and 5 p.m. to get those services done. Intake hours all day. Phone number for call for that is 949-0006. We still have our individual parent coaching sessions are happening. Our case management is happening. And we are also doing crisis intervention and victims advocacy during this period. We know that there might be an increase in the number of domestic violence cases. So we are prepared with other entities to handle crisis intervention cases. Of course, a lot of parenting resources are being delivered now for parents during this period of COVID-19, and we are really promoting the National Mental Health Helpline at 1-800-534-6463 for persons who might want to call for any mental health, mental condition. So persons are feeling lonely, persons are being isolated, and sometimes they just want to call to speak to someone. The mental health hotline is also there to help persons process these situations and these times.
Yes, sir. And of course, that is particularly important that we all remember that all of us are feeling stressed at this time, and so it doesn't have to be a particular condition per se. However, if you're feeling that stress and you feel like you need to speak to some objective person who can assist you in any way, then I encourage the audience and everyone out there to make use of these facilities being offered by qualified persons who are able to offer the service. Mr. Bailey, thank you so much, sir, for your contribution this afternoon. It was a pleasure talking with you. Please call in with any additional information that arises whenever you feel it's necessary to do so. And have a wonderful afternoon.
Thank you so much. Have a good day.
Thank you. So we'll just go immediately to our next guest, as time unfortunately is running out as per usual, and we do have the press briefing coming up in about 22 minutes. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome the representative from Massive Media, and in particular K-Mask, to talk to us about the K-Mask, the launch of K-Mask.
Hey, good afternoon, Mr. Patrick. This is Rich Dyer here. How are you?
Good, Mr. Dyer. How are you?
Yes, I'm doing very well. I'm doing quite well.
Excellent. Sorry to keep you waiting there.
No problem at all. No problem. No worries.
So, could you tell us a little bit about what exactly is K-Mask, and what are you what are the various efforts being made in terms of encouraging people to make their own masks, for example, and are instructions being given, and via what mediums as to how to make these masks?
No problem. So, K-Mask is a community effort that we've started to encourage people to create and to share homemade masks for the community. This is something that Dr. Lee has now started strongly advocating for a number of very important reasons. There are not enough N95 and surgical masks, the professional grade masks that are needed for never mind the entire population, but also our healthcare workers and our frontline workers. Now, in the absence of having all that, the next best thing we can do is make homemade masks. Now, one important distinction to make is a homemade mask, as Dr. Lee explained, this doesn't prevent you from catching the infection. The entire point of this is to reduce and prevent you from transmitting any infection you might have from your mouth. When you wear a mask over your mouth, it catches the droplets that leave, which is what the virus can be attached to, and it greatly reduces one of the main areas by which we transmit this virus, is from our mouth with the droplets. So we have created a website and, really more importantly, a Facebook group called K-Mask in order to help rally the community around this effort. The entire point, really, of K-Mask is to get the community to connect with each other, so those people who are able to create masks can do so, and also those who need masks can request them, and we can connect people as quickly and efficiently as we can to maximize the number of people wearing masks in the community.
Right.
We went about this because of our position. So we're a marketing agency, so we're able to obviously build a website and do the marketing for it and organize quite efficiently. But in our company, we have an office in the Czech Republic. Now, in the Czech Republic, they're much further ahead of us in terms of the infection rates and how long they've had the infection. And they're obviously surrounded by other European nations who are having similar and distinct experiences. So what's happened in the Czech Republic is this homemade mask effort got started very early, and communities started organizing quickly and sharing masks between them. Now, the data, what we've seen come out of this Czech experiment, and what data analysts and doctors and even Dr. Lee, right, are now really advocating, is that we see that this effort has greatly reduced the infection rates in these countries for the reasons I described, is that it prevents the droplets leaving your mouth as much. So with this experience we saw from our Czech team, our guys there, who also consider Cayman to be home, our partner there, he lived here for 9 years.
Right.
He was very keen to get Cayman started as quickly as possible to help our island to reduce our infection rates and help us to beat this. So it was really from our Czech team who sort of pushed this initiative. So we were building this in the background, and as soon as Dr. Lee started advocating for it, we were able to roll it out.
Excellent.
A couple of important things going on with K-Mask right now. The current use of the resource in the site now is supporting the Red Cross. So we've been in touch with them, and we're working to support them now, because the Red Cross is under an urgent appeal for homemade masks so they can provide them to frontline workers. You will see on their Facebook page, they have a direct appeal out asking for seamstresses and tailors in order to help them produce masks. And we are further trying to push that effort. And anyone who's listening, I'd really encourage anybody who will be able to help produce masks at home. It's something that we really need to start happening as quickly as possible. And you can either get in touch with K-Mask or with the Red Cross, and we will help route all the masks toward the Red Cross for now.
And Rich, are you able to provide the materials or any materials to, for example, seamstresses who can volunteer their time to create these extra masks?
So there is in the background an effort to try and source materials. However, the good thing about this initiative is everybody will be able to do this with items you have at home.
Right.
So if you go to kmask.com, this is the kind of holding website with information we have. We have links to a number of places which have YouTube videos or PDFs which show you how to make a mask. Now, really, there's different things you can use, different things that will be effective, but there's a couple of key items here. Is that ideally, it would be 100% cotton, because on the website, you will see instructions for how to put it on, how to sanitize, the safe use of the mask. But one of the important things of these masks is because they're homemade, you must boil them and ideally iron them before and after each use. Now, obviously, that just means you need a material which can take boiling and ideally ironing without falling apart. So that makes polyester materials difficult, of course. But then things like dish towels or cotton T-shirts, cotton blends, there's pillowcases, even scarves, linens, even linen and silk, has a certain amount of effectiveness, even though some of those you wouldn't be able to reuse. But there's a number of materials that people have at home that you can use to make these masks. Because this is a homemade craft kind of initiative. This program and the instructions, these are adapted to things that most people will have at home. Like I said, a T-shirt or a dishcloth can be a really effective material to use.
Excellent.
There's one other thing in our the group, the Facebook group I mentioned. That's a really important place to go. So the address for that is facebook.com/groups/Kmask. Just to make sure I'm pronouncing it properly, it's Caymask, Kmask. You can obviously just search for that in Facebook as well. But if you go to there, We have some more information about the types of materials you can use. There are Red Cross is engaged on there, as are other people, and the people are there to ask questions, answer questions, and interact. The key that's going to make this effort strong is working together as a community. So I think it's particularly key for people to go to the Facebook group and volunteer your time, or if you are someone who needs a mask, or if you know someone who's vulnerable or frontline, this is the community and the place where everybody should be going to either request or hopefully to provide these masks to each other. That's the best kind of a community sort of organization, we think.
That's excellent, and we certainly appreciate every effort being made, especially by private companies, to ensure that our community is as protected as possible. I note that one of the things that you stress with this is that this is a mask really that protects others when you wear it, and so I think it's quite a catchy phrase. You've said here in the website that my mask protects you, your mask protects me, and that's an important message, I think, for all of us to remember.
Yeah, and I think it's like you've noted with your previous call, and we all know everybody is very stressed right now.
Yes.
And I think everybody either also has either too much to do or too little to do. And neither of those are very optimal situations for us to be in. And it's all very new to us, so that makes it stressful. So all of these things are going. And, it's interesting you picked that up, but that is a simple thing that people can say to themselves and say about this, which really kind of drives home the importance and the reason why. And, in these stressful times, you have to try and communicate clearly because everybody is stressed out.
Absolutely.
Because like you say, the point of K-Mask is my mask is protecting you, your mask is protecting me. As Dr. Lee stressed, wearing these kind of masks don't prevent the infection going in, but a big help to our community is any infection you might have, it prevents it going out. And we need to reduce infection rates. And this is a really key thing for the community to support the really excellent work the government's been doing. And I really, I think I speak for, I know all my company, I'm sure for a lot of, all the community, the decisive and strong and really factual and science-based decisions the government has been making to look after the community, and for the wise and decisive steps they've been taking. We're really fortunate. But this also, we need to do our part. We can't just rely on the government to do all this for us. So we need to listen to what they say and follow their guidelines, and then where private individuals, private companies can put their efforts and talents to support, we have to. And so it was easier for us as a marketing agency to organize this, but now the important part starts. The people who can make these masks, who can contribute, these people need to come and start giving to their community too. And we all need to pull together with what we can do. We all need to do it as quickly as possible.
I agree. I mean, I think it's so important that we're all proactive in this effort, and not allow ourselves to allow stress to settle in too much and take over our lives. Can I just ask you, Rich, while I have you in the line, two more questions that sprang to mind, which, we frequently are reminded that there are a number of persons in the community who are not as familiar with the use of websites or indeed Facebook, or may not have the necessary access to it. So if that's the case, you mentioned, for example, speaking with persons at Red Cross, but did you mean literally speaking? And if so, is there a number that can be called for persons who need advice over the phone about how to make the masks?
There certainly is. So the Red Cross has put out details, and let me just provide them to you now. So this is a call for people who can provide masks, but they're also there for those who need them, and there's a few phone numbers. So I'll just read them all slowly, and then there's also an email address.
Okay, thank you.
So the phone numbers for those who need them for the Red Cross for this mask-making effort. First one is 925-2251. That's 925-2251. Alternatively, 916-4932. That's 916-4932. Or finally, 545-9065. That's 545-9065. And they also have an email address, which is VRM, which is Victor Romeo Montreal.
That's a good one.
So VRM,
Mike.
M for Mike, thank you, Patrick, at redcross.org.ky.
At Red Cross.
BRM at redcross.org.ky. Any of those details, people can reach out to the Red Cross as part of this mask-making appeal. And that is really the key appeal. And just to remind people, that is the Red Cross are organizing for our frontline workers to get them all wearing masks as quickly as possible.
Yes, sir. Rich, if I could ask you just to hold for a few more moments. We have another question for you, but we need to take a short commercial break. So we'll be right back with Rich Dyer from K-Mask.
Start getting your debt under control with a debt consolidation loan from Fidelity Bank. At Fidelity, your loan decision is quick with no runaround. Plus, with competitive interest rates and fees, we will help you reduce your monthly payments and get you back to living again. Don't let the burden of overwhelming debt tie you down this year. Call Fidelity today and let's make it happen with a Fidelity Bank debt consolidation loan. Fidelity, we're good for you.
This is a public service announcement from your Radio Cayman, your community radio station. Here are some coronavirus prevention tips.
Home isolation means staying indoors and completely avoiding contact with other people. You need to do this if you have symptoms of COVID-19. If you are practicing home isolation, you should stay in a well-ventilated room with a window to outside that can be opened separate from other people in your home. Keep the door closed and use a separate bathroom from the rest of the household, if available. If you have to share these facilities, regular sterilization will be required. Consider drawing up a bathroom schedule for washing or bathing and have the isolated person using the facilities last.
For the latest updates and information, please visit hsa.ky/public-health/coronavirus or gov.ky/coronavirus.
Social distancing is crucial for our community to get back to normal. And never before has communication been so crucial. Keeping in touch with family, friends, and up to date requires you to stay in touch. Green Turtle offers the solution for both. Download the Green Turtle app now. Top up yours or a loved one's phone with any mobile carrier in any destination in Cayman. Phones delivered to your home, and with the new rewards program, you can even redeem points towards a new phone and other products. Download the Green Turtle app today. Green Turtle is not only the future of mobile, but today it can help save a life. Hashtag Stay Home Cayman. Take a ride on the Green Turtle Express today. Download the Green Turtle app. The future of mobile, saving lives today.
Did you know that ValueMed Pharmacy has a free online prescription service? Managing your health and medical requirements has never been easier with ValueMed. Simply visit value-medpharmacy.com. That's VALU-medpharmacy.com and click the Refill Prescriptions tab on our website. Fill in the information for new prescriptions or refills and choose your preferred pickup location. ValueMed on Walkers Road or Town. Then bring in your original prescription from your doctor when picking up. There's no need to stand in line and wait for your prescription. Save time and pick up prescriptions at your convenience by visiting value-medpharmacy.com. That's VALU-medpharmacy.com.
Listen to the general public.
Your thoughts are just a telephone call away. 1-800-534-8255.
What the public is saying.
Let your voice be heard. And now,
Radio Cayman's Talk Today.
Good afternoon and welcome back to Talk Today. This is Patrick Schmid standing in for Sterling Dwayne Ebanks, and I have the pleasure of speaking to Mr. Rich Dyer from Massive Media, and he's speaking about their efforts to help in the COVID-19 pandemic counter provisions, shall we say, help the community at large by creating the K-Mask, or assisting in giving the knowledge about the creation and treatment of the K-Mask to be worn in order to protect one another as best as possible. So, Rich, I still have you there on the line?
Yes, sir. I'm still here. Hi, Patrick.
Hello. Thank you for staying on the line with us. We have a few more minutes. Of course, I gather that if you are able to take any calls, you'd be willing to do so. But
yes, of course.
Okay, wonderful. And but what I'd like to ask you about is really the sanitizing aspect of the mask. You have spoken to some extent about boiling and ironing and so on, but what about the actual, because it has been mentioned by the HSA, for example, the actual removal and handling of the masks, so as not to so as to ensure minimal exposure or no exposure whatsoever by the person who's wearing it?
Yes, that's correct. So again, if you go to kmask.com, we have these instructions laid out as safe tips, but I'll just kind of summarize them now. The most important thing is that you make sure you boil your mask at a high temperature and ideally iron it after it's been dried. Now, obviously, boiling and ironing is just to sanitize and kill off any virus or any other bacteria or microbes that might be on that material afterwards. So again, that's why we speak to why it's best to use 100% cotton or certain materials that can withstand this. And I just have to say, Patrick, I've become a bit of an expert on materials, which I just did not. I think a week ago I could have told you none of this. So it has to make sure you're trying to use a high cotton account if you can. But other important things are you have to wash it and disinfect your hands before you touch your face mask. So once it's dry, you can't then touch it again. So it should be washed and ironed and left on a sanitized counter or place which is clean. Then before you touch it again, you must wash and disinfect your hands. When you put on the mask, you have to cover your nose as well as your mouth, and you have to minimize any gaps so nothing can really push out of any gaps in the mask. While wearing the mask, you mustn't touch it at all with your hands while wearing it. Once it's on, do not touch that mask again. If the mask gets wet at all, you need to replace it. It just will become so much more absorbent, and it's just recommended by health services to not use a wet mask. And then when you do remove a mask, you have to make sure you pull it off by the strings. Because again, you want to avoid touching the mask itself, because anything that's got on that mask while wearing it, you do not want to transfer this to your hands. So when you take it off, you should take it off carefully using the strings only. If you're able, then you can either throw away the mask and not use it again, or you put it straight in to be boiled again and to be disinfected immediately as soon as it comes off.
Right.
So again, anything that's on this mask is there to protect you, but once it's on, you have to then think of it as you have to be careful with it, because it does represent another potential source of infection. So as long as you follow these safe instructions of keeping it boiled and sanitized, and you put it on carefully and you don't touch it, and you take it off with the strings, and then you don't just wipe on your hands or on your counters, you make sure you get it straight into the garbage or straight into a safe place where it's either being boiled now or it will only stay there till it will be boiled, and you'll keep that place sanitized. Those instructions are really careful. They're really important to think of when using a mask.
Absolutely. I guess one learns to think of it as sort of an extension of their own body. And indeed, for those frontline workers who are using, for example, gloves as well as masks, it is sort of doubly important to ensure that you do things in a very structured manner so as to ensure that you don't pass any potential infection from one item to the next and then on to yourself.
It is. I think that's a really good way of talking about, Patrick, as an extension of your body. And another thing that we kind of say is to start forming habits. So for example, you could have a dummy mask, okay? Something that you're just going to wear for yourself that you put on, and you just get in the habit of taking it on, putting it on, taking it off, and just get into the muscle memories of this is what I do when I take it off. I don't touch it with my hands while I'm wearing it. And if you just force your body into these routines, it'll start to become more second nature. It'll just be something you really have to actively think about and do at first, because we all touch our faces and we're just not used to this. We're not used to this process of having to wear this kind of mask and the deliberate things we have to do to keep it sanitized and for it to serve the purpose that it's there for. So practice makes perfect, like in all things in life, right?
Absolutely. So how many have you made thus far?
Me, myself, so in my household, we have a few that we've made.
Excellent.
My girlfriend and I, we've completely self-isolated.
Okay.
So we are working from home and staying home, and we are just avoiding going out at any cost. We have food in the house, and we have that. We have power in the house, so after that, we can just wait this out. Because we're just trying to follow Dr. Lee's guidance as strictly as we can.
Right.
And again, it's another kind of one of those things of practice. As soon as we saw this coming, we we just started locking ourselves in the house because we know the principle of how a virus spreads. So we know we're safest to stay in here for ourselves and others.
Yes.
And we know if we can do this and if we can survive and, keep ourselves like healthy and sane by just keeping self-isolated, we do. So we have made ourselves a few masks. And obviously with part of this, I had to try and, learn some arts and crafts skills that I never had. Frankly, my girlfriend's efforts are far superior to anything I've made. But I've made some. But with K-Mask as well, the focus of our company and what we're doing with this is to just rally the community and to really be the organizer, the conduit, to support anyone, like the Red Cross. So when they need help, we're there and we're just going to put our marketing ability behind Red Cross to try and push their campaign as much as we can. And if we fulfill Red Cross, then we'll move on to another stage. Right? Then we need to get all the wider public. So we're hoping we complete this Red Cross mission as quickly as possible so we can get frontline workers properly looked after. Then we have to push to everyone in the community, and there's going to be vulnerable and isolated people, and there's going to be people who we need to help. So we'll get through this stage, and then we'll start tackling that one next.
Absolutely. And I'd just like to take this opportunity to remind everyone that this is an effort that was put together by Massive Media, and the K-Mask information, should you have access to the internet, as most people will, at least on their smartphone or if not from a computer, you can go directly to their to the website, which is kmask, CAYMASK.com, or alternatively you can access their Facebook page. And Rich, can you remind us of the Facebook page details, please?
Yes, so the K-Mask is the word which is easy to search for on Facebook, but if you are going to go direct to the group, it's facebook.com/groups/K-Mask. Or if it's simpler, just type K-Mask into the search in Facebook and you'll find it that way.
Right.
And yeah, I really encourage everyone to go there and to really just come with an intention of give what you can in terms of your time in making these masks, and let's all try and come together and get this done as quickly as possible so we can move on to the next things that we can do.
And final reminder also is that the Red Cross can be contacted on 925-2251, 916-4932, and 545-9065. So with that, I'd like to thank Mr. Dyer, and we're going to be going directly to the headline news.
Your 2 p.m. headlines brought to you by greenturtle.ky. Take a ride on the Green Turtle Express today. Download the Green Turtle app, the future of mobile, saving lives today.
Today's biggest news.
Radio K-Man.
It's only 2 species that we have on the island.
Generations present.
Your voice, your choice.
For today's biggest news.
Access to information.
Local, regional, international, this is headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom team.
Today's biggest news.
In an effort to protect the health, safety, and well-being of customers and staff, the Utility Regulation and Competition Office has activated its business's continuity plan. Authorized staff will be working remotely to provide necessary regulatory support to all stakeholders and to remain responsive to the changing environment while remaining compliant with government's policy directives and initiatives during this unprecedented time. Good afternoon, I'm Dion Anglin with your headlines. In news elsewhere, Spain has recorded another 864 deaths related to coronavirus, the highest in one day as the total number of deaths across Europe has gone beyond 30,000. More than 9,000 people have died in Spain, which is second only to Italy in fatalities caused by the virus. And a team of astronomers has found what it says is the best evidence yet for an elusive class of black hole. They say the presumed intermediate mass black hole betrayed its existence by tearing apart a wayward star that ventured too close. That's a wrap of your headlines. I'm Dion Anglin.
Your 2 p.m. headlines brought to you by greenturtle.ky. Take a ride on the Green Turtle Express today. Download the Green Turtle app, the future of mobile, saving lives today.
Social distancing is crucial for our community to get back to normal, And never before has communication been so crucial. Keeping in touch with family, friends, and up to date requires you to stay in touch. Green Turtle offers the solution for both. Download the Green Turtle app now. Top up yours or a loved one's phone with any mobile carrier in any destination in Cayman. Phones delivered to your home, and with the new rewards program, you can even redeem points towards a new phone and other products. Download the Green Turtle app today. Green Turtle is not only the future of mobile, but today it can help save a life. Hashtag Stay Home Cayman. Take a ride on the Green Turtle Express today. Download the Green Turtle app. The future of mobile, saving lives today.
Listen to the general public.
Your thoughts are just a telephone call away. 1-800-534-8255.
What the public is saying.
Let your voice be heard. And now,
Radio Cayman's Talk Today.
Good afternoon and welcome back to Talk Today. This is Patrick Schmid sitting in for Sterling Dwayne Banks, and we're waiting for the government press release to start, which could happen at any moment. But as soon as we do, not press release, pardon me, the press briefing, as soon as we do, then we will switch directly to them. In the meantime, I just take the opportunity to remind everyone that yesterday the Honorable Premier mentioned the fact that they were in the process of setting up a special hotline as well for elderly persons to be able to reach out to them, and that currently through the NAU they are assisting 6,053 families with and processing a further 81 applications as at yesterday. And so with that in mind, they are making every effort to ensure that people have what they need in terms of funds as well, in circumstances where particular families are finding themselves in need of financial support or assistance, given the various particular limitations that we're having to encounter during the COVID-19 pandemic. Also, we have, just by way of reminder, the fact that any issues relating to child protection or reporting of concerns regarding the elderly can be done via the multi-agency safeguarding hub, and their number is 1-800-534-2273 and 945-0545. So those are the two critical numbers to remember for those particular circumstances. And the Department of Children and Family Services are also still available 8:35 Monday through Friday on 929-7932 Cayman Brac and 926-6853 or 925-5120 in Grand Cayman. So without further ado, I need to remind you now that Talk Today was brought to you today by Green Turtle, and we'll be shortly going to the press briefing of the Cayman Islands government for today, 1st April 2020. Thank you so much for joining us here on Talk Today. And it appears that we are not yet ready, so I will continue to discuss with you the various options that you have to reach out for assistance should you so require. Indeed, if you have any questions which have not been brought up today and which would fit into the category of being sort of general questions that you need answers to, or that you feel you haven't been properly addressed, you can actually address those questions to the hazard management special team that is contactable on neoc@gov.ky or by calling 1-800-534-6555. That information is also posted on the government's website that is specifically geared to general information as well as the provision of the FAQs, the frequently asked questions, on gov.ky/coronavirus. So through any one of those means, that is to say, accessing the website or calling the number or indeed sending an email, you can ask general questions as well as any of the specific questions that can be addressed by the specific departments charged with the various areas of responsibility. So we are going to continue to talk. If anyone has any concerns that they'd like to bring to our attention, I know that this morning there was quite a bit of discussion regarding the questions that were being asked, whether there was enough clear talk, so to speak, from the press in terms of the questions being asked of the government representatives who are as we've all acknowledged, doing a very good job of being proactive and trying to get out and disseminate all of the relevant information insofar as possible, and to protect our community by putting people before all of the considerations, and as comprehensively as possible, of course. So, but nevertheless, there are times when questions are put forward, and apparently there are some persons who feel that not all of the important questions are being asked, and so there's an appeal from the general public that the relevant moderator on any given day at the press briefing actually makes sure that if the questions cannot be answered during the actual session, that they're nevertheless answered as soon as possible thereafter via email or through whatever means that they have to contact the person asking the question. But certainly if it's one that question that pertains to the general public, then obviously a public announcement of that answer would be the best method for dealing with the particular question. And finally, that the questions be put in as as much as possible in layman's terms, so that we are all very much understanding of what is actually being asked and the answer that is being given, because there are times when the natural tendency is to speak in medical terms or in terms of. We are about to go to the live press briefing. Thank you so much for being with us today on Talk Today.
Coronavirus press briefing. I'm Caroline James in for Donna Bush. Thank you to our viewers on CIG TV, YouTube, Facebook, and our listeners on Radio Cayman. And we'll start today with a prayer from Bishop Nicholas Sykes.
O God, our help in ages past, our strength today, and our hope for years to come, may your spirit and presence guide, sustain, and direct all who reside in the Cayman Islands, particularly those appointed in the front line at this time, and most especially the leaders of this land. Grant us all, by your grace, a spirit compliant with your will and a mind obedient to your direction, for the accomplishment of every part of your good purpose. O Lord, we acknowledge our failings in the light of your holy and blessed purpose for all humanity. And we humbly pray that you will look down upon your children with that grace and mercy that we do not deserve, and remove from the world this present scourge, that recalling your greatness and power, and no longer ignoring your name and your presence, we and all your children may return to you all due honor for the rest of our lives, in the name and by the grace of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Bishop. In the room with me today, we have His Excellency the Governor, the Honourable Premier, and the Honourable Minister for Health. We also have the Commissioner of Police and the Chief Medical Officer standing by. Not in the room today are members of the media, but please rest assured they're still with us. They'll have every opportunity to put their questions to our panel. But today we're trialling a new format via Zoom. We keep everyone at a safe distance and practice social distancing. So we'll turn first to Dr. Lee for the medical update.
Good afternoon. I have 22 cases to report today in total, of which 8 are positive and 14 are negative. Of those 8 positive, 1 of them has no travel history. The 7 other cases represent people who are either immediate contacts of somebody who has traveled or somebody who has traveled themselves. As we go along and public health do their contact tracing and test the close contacts of everyone that is positive, we will naturally find that the numbers will climb as households are likely to have the condition within the household unit. The cases really stretch from east to west of the country, so I really would implore everybody to stay at home and keep your distance from people, keeping your hands clean. For the totals now, the total tested for Cayman is 251, the total negatives 228, and the positives are now 22. We still have the one inconclusive result, but the sample has been received by CARFA and is being tested today. I also wanted to comment on the people up to yesterday. That does not include the 22 from today, as we're just contacting them now from Public Health. But up until yesterday, all of the people were either doing well, either fully recovered, or only remaining with mild symptoms. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Lee. Any of the media have any questions? We'll invite them to ask Dr. Lee those questions now. I know there's a slight delay, so bear with us while we test out this new system. I think that's no questions for Dr. Lee. No, we can return to you, Dr. Lee, if any of the media have any questions later. Reshma, was that a question from you?
Yes, please.
Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Dr. Lee, you shared that we now have crossed the 20 cases mark. In relation to these new additional cases, I know you said West Bay to East and everyone should stay at home now. Has any of the other cases recovered yet and they are now free to go? And these new cases that we have, can you tell us any further details in terms of their age ranges and the level of exposure they would have had within the community?
So I don't have the breakdown of the age range for this group. As you know, before I've given you the age ranges from 20, just over 20 to people in their 80s, so a whole range of people, and I have no reason to think that this list is any different. No outliers have been pointed out to me in particular. As I mentioned just now, yes, some people are recovering and are doing well, particularly those that we reported up to yesterday. The details of these today, they will be being contacted now as we speak.
I think, Wendy, do you have a question?
We'll go.
I can give way.
We'll go to Wendy. Cayman News Service, your question, please.
Yeah, thanks very much for that. I'd like to ask Dr. Lee, can he now give us a rundown of anyone that has been admitted to the hospital and the levels of sickness of the individuals right across the board that have tested positive so far? So whether we have people that are sick currently, anyone in the hospital, and who's actually recovered. Thank you.
So there were 2 patients who were admitted to Health City. One was admitted prior to this outbreak and was an inpatient at the time that the now deceased person was being managed. His condition is stable. He is a long-term inpatient at Health City. There was also a patient previously reported who was admitted to the Health Services Authority, who has now been discharged and is doing well. One of the patients reported today is a current inpatient with respiratory symptoms at the Health Services Authority.
Wendy, if you have a follow-up question, we'll come back to you. I know that Reshma at the Cayman Campus has another question for Dr. Lee. Reshma.
Cases related to each other, household members, or are these individual cases that we have connected today?
It's a mixture. Some are household members and some are new cases. For example, some people who have traveled and have now returned and have presented to the flu clinic with symptoms. But some of the others are household members of contacts that have been previously reported.
I believe we also had a question from Kayla Young at the Cayman Compass. Kayla, if you can hear us, please go ahead.
Hi, I'm wondering if we've heard anything about the inconclusive result that went to CARFA, if there's...
Yes, as I mentioned, the inconclusive result, the sample has been received at CARFA and is being run today, and we should have the results, I'm guessing, tomorrow, if not later on this evening.
And Reshma, go ahead with your question.
Sorry, just a quick update on the consignment. If Dr. Lee, you can provide us with the information. Are we getting to the tests with the BA flight that's coming in? And in addition to that, there have been reports from the UK where some, I believe, 5,000 or 8,000 tests have been contaminated and are now presenting a problem in the UK for their own testing situation. How will that impact our testing plans? If you can assist me with that.
We're actually, some of our orders are coming in which have been placed a long while ago, so we actually have the reagents, the supplies to test around 1,000 subjects at the minute. We've also got a number of different options that are out there on order. So, and for one of the lots that's come in today, we didn't think it was ever going to come in as it was ordered several weeks ago, but it's now come in. So some of these things are arriving all the time. As far as the contamination is concerned, I know that I think if we were reading the same article, the contamination was of individual kits that was more sort of bedside kits or point of care testing kits, rather than the ones that are going to the laboratory, which are more bulk type kits. I read certainly in one of the British newspapers today that although the company was a Dutch company, I believe, that they'd sourced their things from China and that they were found to be contaminated. But those would be for individual, each test kit of those would be for one person. We use a more bulk system, and that's not impacting us, no.
We had another question from Cayman News Service. Wendy, go ahead.
Thank you very much. I just want to check with Dr. Lee if he can give us a number, if possible, on the samples that are waiting to be tested of people with symptoms.
I don't have that figure, no, I'm sorry. I'm not trying to hide it, I just don't have it. They come in all the time. Some days it's in their teens, some days it's a bit less, some days it's a bit more.
And Reshma, one more from you.
Thank you. Dr. Lee, now yesterday we had 2 positive tests. Today we have 8 positive tests. We have put a lot of effort into trying to flatten the curve, as we've been referring to for the past few weeks. Are we now seeing that we are heading into a situation where we're going into a peak? And can you tell me or share with the public how far along are we on that curve?
I wouldn't say that at all, no. I wouldn't say we're rising to a peak. What we're doing is, because we have some quite large households that are being contact traced and all the people being tested, we're picking up people that have got mild symptoms in that household, and they're the ones that are positive. I'm not saying that we are not going into a peak, and I'm not saying that we are, but I would not, on the basis of what we have today, say that. I think that the moves that the government has put in place, which are case isolation, and they're sort of like in, I'm going to go down a list which is in increasing severity. So by putting cases, isolating them away from the public, and then by asking people to quarantine themselves at home, and then by asking us to take care of the elderly and keep them special and anybody with long-term conditions. And then by asking people to keep their social distance for the whole population, and then with the closure of schools and all the educational establishments, and then with cessation of non-essential businesses. These are all the steps that have been described across the world as to be the major public health interventions that you can put into place. And Cayman has been very active and put all of them into place as best it can and early on in this situation, which is why we are doing our utmost to try to prevent the spread of this virus and why it's so important for you to stay at home in order that the steps we put into place be successful. Because if you stay at home and stay away from other people, the virus can't get you and you won't catch it.
We had one more question from Kayla at the campus. Kayla, go ahead.
I wanted to see if you could provide any guidance for workers that we know are at high risk, delivery workers, grocery workers who are being exposed to many members of the public. How are we ensuring that those workers are being kept at home if they're, say, running a temperature or showing any symptoms?
Well, I hope that nobody that's running a temperature is going to work. I mean, that would be ludicrous given the current situation that we're in. Anybody with any symptoms at all has been asked to stay at home. So please do that. And if you know somebody that's not well, please encourage them to stay at home because that's what they need to do in order to protect the whole community. As far as the transmission of conditions is concerned, I know that a lot of delivery drivers are keeping handling down to a minimum. Everybody's been given advice about hand hygiene and respiratory hygiene. All of the food suppliers have been doing a lot of work behind making sure that the amount of contact is minimized. And certainly if you bring anything into your house, please touch it as an absolute minimum that you possibly can. Immediately plate things. Once you've touched something on the outside, wash your hands and dispose of that object so that anything you bring into the house you treat as suspect, and you make sure that you put any suspect items immediately into the bin, but take out what you need from them.
Thank you, Dr. Lee. I think we'll move now to the Commissioner of Police for his update. If any media members do have any more questions for Dr. Lee, we'll ask him to kindly stay put and we can put those to him later on in the briefing.
Good afternoon. Reporting for the past 24 hours in respect of the police report. No significant policing issues arose over the past 24 hours. The crime situation remains stable and we continue to have almost full compliance with the hard curfew between the hours of 7 p.m. and 5 a.m. Food delivery services for the most part form the traffic moving around Grand Cayman up until 9 p.m. nightly. Looking at Little Cayman overnight, no issues arising. Cayman Brac, 4 interceptions by police, no persons found in breach of curfew. Grand Cayman, 131 interceptions by police, 3 persons found to be in breach of curfew. 1 of those persons was arrested and the remaining 2 were warned for prosecution. Looking at the soft curfew from 6 a.m. this morning or 5:01 a.m. this morning, we still have a lot more traffic on the roads than is absolutely necessary, but most drivers are reporting that they are going to supermarkets, pharmacies and banks. Business operations at supermarkets are well controlled, queues are being well managed and shoppers are adhering to social distancing protocols. There is a small amount of activity along the beaches with persons out walking and exercising. Our helicopter and marine units are deployed on extended tours, monitoring marine and ground movements across the islands. This morning, no persons have been warned for breach of soft curfew. Can I take a moment to clarify an issue that seems to be recurring and a misunderstanding there may be? Daily I use the term warned for prosecution, and this relates to persons found in breach of curfew. To clarify this position, to ensure there is no misunderstanding, this is not a police caution. All of the persons warned for prosecution will be prosecuted for breach of curfew and will be summoned to appear at summary court in early course. Files are being prepared and my office is working with the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions and the court services to arrange for early mention dates. Can I just mention the hard curfew? The hard curfew order, which commenced on Tuesday the 24th of March 2020, remains in place until 5 a.m. this coming Friday morning, the 3rd of April 2020. I will be consulting with His Excellency the Governor later today or early tomorrow. Before then, in any event, with a view to keeping the hard curfew in place beyond Friday morning, the 3rd of April 2020. Looking to tonight, the hard curfew comes back in at 7 p.m, remains in place until 5 a.m. in the morning. I repeat, as I do most days, if you do not have to be on the road to conduct essential business during those hours, please do not be on the road. Stay home, Cayman. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. I'm going to assume that Reshma from the Cayman Compass has a question for the Commissioner. So, Reshma, you're live. Go ahead.
Caroline, what if I did not?
I'd be disappointed.
But actually, I do. Commissioner, you mentioned one arrest. I know you keep saying that arrests are a last resort. Can you share some further details on this particular incident that happened last night?
Yes, it was a car encountered and there were predicate offences, which are road traffic offences, and an arrest was appropriate in those circumstances. So it wasn't just a breach of curfew, it was associated with predicate Road Traffic Act offences.
Was there any sort of violence or any sort of interaction like that, or was it just a nominal arrest?
Just an ordinary arrest, no assault in the circumstances reported last night.
Okay, thank you.
And I think that's all the questions we have for the Commissioner. I'm going to politely ask him to stay around as well in case the delay brings any questions up for the media later. So with that, we'll turn to the Honourable Premier for his update.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. I'll start today's press briefing with my usual report. I've added a number of countries to it on the basis of requests from members of those countries who are resident in our population. I'll start as usual with the United States of America, which has the highest number of total cases at 205,036, up 16,506 overnight. Total deaths, 4,516, up 463 overnight. Italy, 110,574, up 4,782 overnight. Total deaths, 13,155, up 727 overnight. Spain, 102,136, up 6,213 overnight. Total deaths, 9,053, up 589 overnight. China, 81,554, only 36 new cases. Total deaths, 3,312, up 7 overnight. The United Kingdom, 29,474 cases, up 4,324 overnight. Total deaths, 2,352, up 563 overnight. The Philippines, 2,084 cases, 88 deaths. Jamaica, still only reporting 36 cases and 1 death. India, 1,685 cases and 38 deaths. Canada, 7,695 cases and 89 deaths. New York State, which is still leading the league tables in the U.S., 83,712 cases, up 7,729 overnight, 1,941 deaths, up 227 overnight. So the picture generally continues to be very bleak. Tomorrow, we should be able to report on the state of play again in the British overseas territories, our brothers and sisters there. Let me comment on the 8 new cases that we have. I should say that none of us who are involved at this level are at all surprised. We have said all along that the 14 days following the closure of the airport would be the critical time for us, and when we'd come to to better understand what the state of play here is with respect to the community transmission of the virus. And as we've said all along, Cayman, we all need to stay home because every movement we make, every interaction we have with another person risks us contracting the virus. As the CMO has said, it is now, the cases now extend from east to west. The numbers are still very small in the grand scheme of things, but every one of those persons has had contact with other persons. And so as we go down the track tracing, we are bound to uncover more instances of community transmission. We are still hopeful that we can contain this within households, within particular areas of the community, isolate those persons who are there to break the continued transmission of the virus. But we are clearly now in a very dangerous position. I put it down only to the fact that today is All Fool's Day, or Tom Fool's Day, as we say in this part of the world, that there is a rumor running around that the government is contemplating a full lockdown. Again, we are not. I want to scotch that right now. As I said before, the length of time that we would need to impose a full lockdown is such that it is impractical. Persons will need to get out to get food, to get medicine, and so forth. But what we are very carefully considering at this stage is an extension of the alphabetical division of the community, which we've applied to visits to the supermarkets and to the banks, right across the board. There are still far too many cars on the road, far too many people who still say that they are going on some essential mission. Every time you go out and interact with people, you increase the risk of community transmission of the virus. So that's not something we're going to do tomorrow, but it is something that we are certainly giving very careful consideration to. I've also had some inquiries about Easter, believe it or not. For all intents and purposes, with respect to the traditional Caymanian traditions and practices at Christmas of getting together and camping and hanging out, those are all officially canceled. We will obviously continue to celebrate and respect Easter for the religious holiday that it is and for its significance to those of us who are Christians. But even that we shall have to do in a socially distant way if we are to prevent this island or these islands from becoming victim to the epidemic which is plaguing much of the rest of the developed world. I have to say, though, and I again express my disappointment, my deep disappointment, that many in the business community still do not get it. The thousands of requests for exemptions that continue to pour in just leave every one of us who are looking at these things in the room there, curfew time, just leave us shaking our head. Every business is not essential. There are some businesses, particularly the pool maintenance businesses, who seem to believe that they are exempt. They are not. It is not an essential service. Electrical businesses, air conditioning, even the pool services are given an exemption to provide emergency service, not general maintenance, not general installation or work. We want to try to keep as many people at home as we possibly can. And that means that we want as many businesses as possible to shut down unless you can work from home or you are providing an essential service. We are constantly pressured and hammered by the business community about economic stimulus, about getting Cayman back to work. Folks, we are in a public health emergency. We need to hunker down, those of us who can, for the next couple of weeks, 2 to 3 weeks, until we are satisfied that this virus has burnt itself out. Then we can start really doing serious work on putting people back to work, getting businesses back and up and operational. But now we don't want you to have employees out working unless they are providing an essential service. We want them to stay home. Those who can work from home, please continue to work from home. Do not make unessential visits to anywhere. Each time you do so, you are risking your own health and that of the broader community. I see and hear of criticism around the business community that the government doesn't appear to be doing anything to look out for the economy and small businesses. It is not the case at all. We are working diligently behind the scenes. We know that a point will come when that is something that we absolutely have to grapple with. But we certainly do not want to send the message that it is business as usual and that we must get Cayman back to work, which is the message that I'm hearing repeatedly now from elements within the business community. We do not want people to go back to work unless they're working from home. We want them to stay at home. What I can say is that part of the work that we're doing, particularly with respect to businesses, we should be able to make some announcements as early as next week. These involve providing access to very soft loans, loans on which the principal and interest will be waived for up to 6 months through the Cayman Islands Development Bank to businesses, small businesses, to allow them to help their employees to provide some sort of wage subsidy. We're looking very carefully at that, and I think we should be able to make some announcements about that next week. We're also looking at pension payment holidays and indeed at the practicality of allowing persons to have access to some of their pension funds. But these will require legislative changes. They are not things that Cabinet can do. We've taken advice from the Honorable Attorney General, and we're working on a range of these sorts of issues. So I don't want the business community or the Chamber of Commerce or anybody else to think that the government is only focusing on suppression of the virus, even though that is our principal focus. We do have the bandwidth, and we are considering other options. But what I want to say to the business community is those countries, and I've seen some implicit criticism of the government in a recent release by the Chamber of Commerce, that other countries have focused on both of these things simultaneously. I want them to pay attention to the Grim Reaper report that I now read every day and ask themselves if they think the focus has been right, and if they still think that deaths are all right as long as you ensure that you make the economy continue to operate. Folks, we can either decide to focus on funerals, or we can focus on trying to keep as many of our people alive as possible. We are choosing life over economics. Those that want to hammer me and my government, they will have to do so. But we are always going to put the welfare of the people of this country above the economic welfare of businesses or the country as a whole. We will get through this. We can rebuild the economy. We can help rebuild businesses. But as I said before, only Christ himself has been known to raise the dead.
Your Excellency.
Thank you very much, and good afternoon, everybody. The Premier has set out the global situation. Obviously, I'm sure as many of us are following the UK particularly closely, and the number of deaths there overnight is clearly a very sobering. But as is the news that a 13-year-old and a 19-year-old boys also died from the virus, and they had no underlying health issues. So this is a really difficult situation, and everybody can be affected by this. We shouldn't just think this won't affect us, because it could affect all of us. I just want to say a word about the tests. I know people will be worried about 8 more positives, but this is what we expected to happen, and we have to keep it in context. It does mean that our tracing and our contacts system is working, what we are trying to do is to isolate, trace, and then suppress, and that we are in the very best position possible to be able to do that as these cases appear. I just want to say a word about the BA flight. I mean, first of all, I think the messaging of yesterday has helped reassure many people in the community who were concerned about this, and I want to repeat again that we would do absolutely nothing to put in jeopardy the welfare and well-being and health of people on these islands. That flight is increasingly important for bringing in equipment. It will have UK-funded personal protection equipment on it. It will also have some HSA-ordered equipment, which has been got to the UK and is coming out from the UK. And we continue to explore testing kits via South Korea, and if we're able to, we will try and get them onto that flight, and the supermarkets are also going to use the flight to bring in some freight. So it's very important in terms of our supplies. I can now confirm that the BA flight will leave here on Tuesday afternoon. We have had 109 people who have contacted the travel line and want to depart on that flight to London. If you have contacted us, you don't need to get in touch again. We will contact you. But if there are more people out there who want to go, please do contact the helpline on 244-3333. The cost of a ticket is £500. Existing BA tickets cannot be transferred, as this is a UK government charter. BA are willing to refund or give vouchers for any existing bookings. We will give us more information tomorrow, but I just want to say again that I think this flight is increasingly important, not just for those people that want to leave, but for all the equipment that is coming in. I want to say a word about fake news, and despite the fact that today is April the 1st and there's been a bit of silliness out there, I am pleased that I think our messaging to everybody to stop sending around fake news, and that we will take serious action against fake news if we come across it. I do think that message has generally been adhered to, and I thank the community for that. We have set up a fake news rapid response unit, and we're monitoring this extremely closely. But I do want to express serious concern about people in the community trying to find out who our positive COVID-19 cases are and trying to find out where they live. This is completely unacceptable, and patient confidentiality is absolutely essential. We have to, all of us, consider how we would feel if we were one of those people with COVID-19. So spare a thought, please, for what these people are going through. It's an extremely worrying time for them, and it's a very unpleasant virus. So we really don't want to see this sort of thing going on, and I appeal to everyone to show true Caymankind spirit in how we as a community handle this. Thank you.
Thank you. Minister.
Thank you. I want to start today by saying my Scripture first. I almost forgot it yesterday. For some reason, I had so much to say. But if my people who are called by my name shall humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then I will hear from heaven and will forgive their sin and will heal their land, says the Lord. 2 Chronicles 7. Today is the third day of and final of what was asked of 3 days of prayer and fasting. Thank everyone that did so. Also want to give a shout out to the Public Health Department. They work 7 days a week, and we thank you for all that you do. Also want to shout out the Caribbean Haven staff. Keep up the great work that you're doing. Good evening to Kim and Brock and Little Kiman, Grand Kiman. As we observe the deadly track of the coronavirus across the globe and now a threat to our community without discrimination to nationality, sexual orientation, religion, or profession, this is a time for all of us as a nation and people to be united. Despite our differences, there's one thing that we have in common: blood, that precious substance that sustains all of our lives. We never know when we or our loved one might be faced with a circumstance that will require blood to keep us alive. I've been informed by our National Blood Bank that our blood supplies are at desperate low levels, and with the challenges of the COVID-19 virus impacting our traditional overseas suppliers, soon we may no longer have these suppliers available to us. We need to increase our local blood supplies with the help of our generous blood donors. Therefore, I make a special appeal to our community to help keep our blood supply stable during this challenging time by donating blood. We are all concerned about the coronavirus. Let's have one thing less to worry about. The last thing any patient should worry about is whether life-saving blood will be available when they need it most. Let's do our part, K-Man, for each other. I'm informed that due to fears of coronavirus infection, some people have concerns about donating blood. Let me reassure you that there's no evidence that the new coronavirus is transmissible by blood transfusion, and there are no reports of any respiratory virus, including the coronavirus, being transmitted from a transfusion. So to be clear, this is not a blood-borne virus, so donating and receiving blood is completely safe. The blood bank usually conducts blood drives frequently on site as businesses within the community. However, since most businesses are closed or operating remotely, the blood bank is unfortunately missing an opportunity to host these blood drives, which provide a large source of our donations. For this reason, persons in the community need to make an individual effort to donate. Whilst blood donation is not necessary for patients with coronavirus, our blood bank needs to maintain adequate levels for trauma, accidents, cancer treatments, and other urgent surgeries. Eligible donors who are interested in giving blood should contact the blood bank at the Health Services Authority by calling 244-2674. If you are not yet a donor, please call and the HSA laboratory staff will ask you a few questions to see if you're eligible. We need all blood types, in particular those who are O negative. It's important that you call ahead to make an appointment before going to the hospital so that arrangements can be made to receive you, given the hospital's new visitor restriction policy. HSA will work with the government to provide you with an exemption letter, which will permit you to drive to and from the hospital to make the donation during soft curfew. The blood bank is open Monday to Friday, so hopefully all of us can find a little time to make a donation. As it takes less than 1 hour of your time, one blood donation can help save up to 3 lives. Men can donate every 3 months, and women can donate every 4 months. Giving the gift of blood is a selfless act that costs you nothing other than a little of your time. This gift of giving someone the opportunity of life is priceless. You can also go on giveblood.ky. Today, our usual reach out to persons to try to stay home. We're going to communicate with our French residents and with our Indian residents here on the island. The French residents, restez chez vous, sauf nécessite absolute. Our Indian residents, Garpa Rahi, Jabahar, Nikalne Suri Naho. I hope this is very helpful. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm sure you heard the Premier. I'm sure you heard the Governor and the serious nature of this matter. My people of the Cayman Islands, we need to take this thing seriously. We need to take this seriously. I took it so seriously that I thought before I go on and give my message, I thought I'd sit down this morning after hearing more positives every day now. We're getting positives almost every day. Dr. Lee's reporting more persons that are positive. And I sat down and I thought that I should do a little poem for the residents in the community. Maybe this may help connect with persons. At times I write poems. Do you see the virus outside your window? It was waiting for you right below. Did you see the virus when you visited your friend? It was laughing quietly when you took that pen. Did you see the virus when you walked on your neighbor's floor? It latched onto your shoes and then you turned the door. Did you see the virus while looking in the trees? It was floating ever so low, right within the breeze. Did you see the virus when you prayed to God today? It was him that you heard say, inside you should stay. Ladies and gentlemen, even though today is April Fool's Day, if you don't stay home and the numbers keep rising, if you see the numbers move to 50 or 100 positive, God forbid, it means that at least 10,000 people will be infected in the Cayman Islands, right? Because of this community spread. There are too many people on the road. Today when I came down, the roads are full. I am begging you, please stay home. At least try to follow the measures of staying home and only coming out of your house if it's essential travel. And keep your 6 feet social spacing going. My personal opinion is I would wear a rag, wear a handkerchief, wear a tissue, take a tissue with you, overwear a mask. It's either 6 feet away or 6 feet under. Until we get our supplies of masks here, where we can go in the community and hand them out generously, then help us protect other people, help us protect yourself. There is a lot to be thankful for here in the Cayman Islands. Some countries report more deaths than positive. Some countries report more positives than negatives. Here in the Cayman Islands, we are still reporting more negatives than positives. Our measures are working. Help us keep it going. God bless.
Thank you, Minister. We open the floor now to members of the media. Cayman News Service, I believe you have a question for the Governor.
the sound is a little intermittent. So if I missed something, I apologise to the Governor with this question, which is for him. First of all, I'd like to double check whether he said that there would be tests coming on the British Airways flight next week before I continue on with the bulk of the question.
I said that we are working very hard to achieve that outcome, but as of today, we can't 100% confirm that. But yes, we are working, we are pursuing an avenue to try and make that happen.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you very much. To continue on, do you have any updates on the information that you shared, I think a couple of days ago now, regarding kits coming from South Korea? And that would be interesting to hear if you could tell us that. But more importantly, given the situation in the UK with their own chaos regarding testing, their own struggles to get the test kits, how can you reassure the people of the Cayman Islands that the UK is in fact committed to helping us when they do seem to be having so many problems of their own? And that's pretty much my questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you. The South Korea avenue is the one that we are pursuing, and as soon as we've got clarity on that, we'll provide more information. I can assure everyone in the islands that the UK remains fully committed to the overseas territories and is supporting the overseas territories. In fact, this morning the Premier and I had a phone call with Baroness Sugg, who is the Minister for the Overseas Territories, when we were talking about the support coming via the British Airways flight, the PPE equipment that the UK is providing to all the overseas territories, despite the challenging situation in the UK. And I know as well that the Prime Minister himself is very much aware of what is happening in the overseas territories and remains fully committed to supporting us.
Thank you, Governor. April Cummings, Radio Cayman, I believe you have a question. Go ahead. April, you may still be on mute if you can hear us. We're having some technical problems there with our Radio Cayman colleagues. In the interim, while we try to sort that out, we'll go to Kayla Young at the Cayman Compass.
I wanted to get more details from the governor about the option being explored from South Korea. Why has this avenue been identified as a good source of testing kits? And can you provide more information about what those testing kits are like?
Clearly, the global situation is very challenging on testing kits because every country in the world is scrambling to try and get these kits at the moment. So HSA, and I'm sure the Minister will be able to say more, but HSA have a number of different leads out to try and secure testing kits, but also other equipment. We are following, and my office is particularly following a lead in South Korea because I'm going through the British Embassy in South Korea to help us carry out due diligence on a company there and make sure that what we purchase is exactly what we need and of the right quality. So I don't want to go beyond that today, just to say that we are actively pursuing that, and as soon as we're able to confirm where we are, we will give you those details.
Oh, Kayla, yes, go ahead. You're still on.
Okay. I wanted to follow up on the economic aspect. I know that the health demands are the most urgent right now, but the Chamber is forecasting 11,000 jobs being affected here by this. Does the Premier think that that's a accurate projection, and does that increase the urgency of encouraging foreign workers to go home?
I actually think that's understated. The tourism industry is not coming back anytime soon, and that is, one of the biggest employers that we have around. The vast majority of people involved in the tourism industry, particularly at the sort of service level, are expats. So yes, I believe that businesses need to take a long, hard look at the situation, bite the bullet, and make some decisions with respect to employees there. And those that can make arrangements to get out, do so. Those who want to leave, let us know, and we will do everything in our power on this end to help facilitate that. The government is simply not going to be in a position where we can support thousands upon thousands of people who are not working in the medium term. We just don't have the wherewithal, with the best will in the world, with all the compassion in the world. We just can't carry the labor bill for the majority of people who won't be employed in the medium term. We just won't be able to. So some hard decisions, and I'm sure many businesses are taking a long, hard look at when is it likely that we'll get back up and running again.
Thanks, Premier. We'll try again to bring in April at Radio Cayman. April, go ahead. I think still having some teething problems with the audio today. Thanks for bearing with us, viewers. April's question: we're seeing an increased amount of attention to the matter of masks since yesterday, lots of information circulating online. Are you looking at the possibility of a mandatory requirement? And perhaps we can invite Dr. Lee as well to address the issue of how effective masks are alone. So perhaps the mandatory requirement question first.
Well, we'd need to ensure that there was hundreds of thousands of those here, quite frankly, because the masks are only effective for a very short period of time. You'd go through many of those in the course of a day. If people stay home, we might be able to use a lot less. But but we need very many masks to be able to put in place a mandatory requirement, because if you make it mandatory, you've got to make sure there's a supply.
Thank you, sir. And Dr. Lee, masks alone, will they stop the spread?
The use of a mask, as we described yesterday, is really to stop major droplets from leaving. So rather than protect yourself, it's actually going to protect other people, because it stops the droplets passing from you to somebody else. So if everybody was to wear a mask, and I know that there aren't enough to be had at the moment, then everybody gets protected from each other in that way. We are really working hard to try and get the private sector, the commercial companies, people who do seamstress work, to make masks. We've been sharing patterns and having discussions. We know there are a lot of people also who are able to do the seamstress work in the private homes, and we're also looking to try and get material to them. So working towards that in order to add that additional level of protection. There are lots of studies that have looked before at a surgical mask versus a homemade mask and what the materials are made of, and it's a graded thing that a surgical mask is very good, and then you work your way down the list depending on how the mask is manufactured. But they all do offer some protection, and as we're trying desperately to stop the spread of this, I think it's a reasonable thing for us to do, and I look forward to being able to get my own.
Thank you, Dr. Lee. We go back to Cayman News Service. Wendy, your question.
I have a question for the Premier. Good afternoon, Mr. Premier. Long time since we spoke.
Indeed.
I wondered whether you might be able to give some reassurances on the other side of our economic coin, in that right now, obviously money never disappears, it goes somewhere. So the offshore sector is presumably still able to work and still able to conduct business. Given that you yourself were a lawyer, perhaps you could maybe reassure people that at least that side of the economy is going on, and some of the things that those larger law firms are able to do.
Yes, well, thank God we do have a financial services industry, but even that is being impacted globally because of all the challenges. Financial services, don't exist in a vacuum. I think the key word is services. They provide, financial services to the world and facilitate the flow of global capital and business and trade. And so when all of those things get impacted, the industry gets impacted as well. There's a slowdown. I've spoken to a number of people in financial services field, and things have slowed up. Things are still moving, but things have slowed up, and I expect that with the U.S. in particular and the United Kingdom coming under even more stress, that there is going to be further significant slowing in the flow of work that we are seeing locally. I haven't actually had a sit down with the financial services industry, key people myself yet, but I think that's one of the things that we need to put on the list to have a Zoom meeting on, to see how they are seeing the picture in the medium to long term.
Thank you. I think we have some more questions from the Compass. Reshma, go ahead.
Thank you, Caroline. This one is for the governor. First of all, I have a few to fire off, so hopefully I can get to them. You mentioned that 109 people have contacted you to depart the Cayman Islands. Can you share, if you have the numbers, a breakdown of these individual countries that these people are heading to? And also, do you have it conversely for the Caymanians returning to Cayman?
I'm afraid, have a breakdown of the nationalities of the 109, but they are from a wide range of countries. And of course, the flight is only taking people to London. If they want to go on elsewhere, they will have to make their own arrangements. I think in terms of Caymanians coming back, those details are still being worked through. The plane will be able to carry about 220 people, but there is a much larger group of Bermudans who are coming back on the flight, because the flight is going to Bermuda first. So all those details are still being worked out, and the Cayman Islands government office in London is leading on that.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that answer. Staying with that same flight, you mentioned that HSA is going to be getting some equipment. Can you say what this equipment is and what quantities?
I don't have those details today, but the minister has just said to me we will get that information tomorrow. But let me just stress again that every country in the world is trying to source all sorts of this equipment from all sorts of different countries. So we're in exactly the same position, and we have lots of possibilities that we're pursuing. So as we have the flight coming in, it's clearly a great opportunity if we can get that to London. We can have certainty that it can come in on the BA flight. One of the problems with air cargo is that because there's just so much demand for it, it's actually difficult to get slots, and that's why there are delays in moving a lot of this equipment around. But the BA flight is a real opportunity for us.
Okay, thank you, Governor. Now, this question is, I'm not sure if it would be for the Premier or Minister of Health or even the Police Commissioner, but the essential staff that are working out there in the community, the police officers, the frontline, emergency responders, the healthcare professionals, what sort of plans are in place for their own health checks, as well as if any of them fall ill, what sort of resources do we have to back up our own efforts for those frontline workers?
Well, there must have been a dozen questions in that. But as we've indicated before, we haven't had the ability to sort of do wholesale testing. We, I think, are in a much better position. Dr. Lee can answer this, I think, better than I can. But to be able to test quite a number of frontline staff to see how they are. Obviously, if anybody is feeling ill, they ought not to come to work, and they ought to report that. And whatever resources are necessary, whatever access they need to health care, they will be provided. All government employees are entitled to free medical, so there's no question about that aspect of it. Obviously, we are challenged like anywhere else. We have a limited number of staff. We all worry immensely about significant numbers of police officers or doctors or nurses getting sick. that would pose some really, really serious issues for us. Unlike other catastrophes which we've all had to deal with, here, this one is global in nature, so it's not simply a case of us saying, well, we can go to the UK and get assistance, or go to the US and get assistance, or anywhere else to our brothers and sisters in the overseas territories, or even more broadly in the Caribbean. So we are deeply conscious of these challenges. Even if we can get the people, the personnel, we'd have to quarantine them for 2 weeks. So you've identified a major concern, and one that is keeping a lot of us awake at night as we grapple with this, which is why it is absolutely critical that we do not allow this to become an epidemic, that people stay home and reduce the risk of us having significant community spread of this virus, so that we don't get to the numbers that really challenge our ability to cope, because there's not many places in the world, if any, to which we can turn for assistance.
Thank you, sir. Do we have any closing thoughts from members of the panel?
Well, I just wanted to mention that one correction is that the blood bank is actually open Monday to Saturday and not Friday, as previously announced. And picking up on something that the governor said earlier in terms of persons who wanting to find out who in the public has the disease, etc. What I have to say about that is finding out who's positive is not as important as you staying home. But the question, when you actually go out in the public, are you spreading it yourself and don't know?
Thank you. A reminder that information about the blood bank, if you want to find out more, you can visit giveblood.ky or call 244-2674. Oh, I'm sorry, Dr. Lee has got some words for us. Dr. Lee.
Thanks very much, and sorry for interrupting. Just one last message about the issue of masks. They're a relatively small part for the protection and the measures that we've put in place. If you imagine yourself going into a cold place, you have to have a coat, a scarf, gloves, the right clothes. The coat is the big thing that protects you, and the coat that we're trying to protect you with is to stay at home, keep your distance from people, and keep your hands clean, follow the hand hygiene rules that we've explained to you. The mask would only be something small, like putting on your scarf. It's going to be a small addition, so please do the big things. Keep away from people, stay at home, keep your hands clean, and if you have any respiratory symptoms, keep that respiratory etiquette into a tissue, throw it away and wash your hands. Thank you.
Dr. Lee, stay there. Reshma has one more question for you. Reshma, go ahead.
Thank you, Caroline, and thank you, Dr. Lee, for just sticking with me. I've had a couple of comments come in from the sister islands concerned about tests on that on Little Cayman and Cayman Brac. Do you have any results that would have come in from those islands, or any tests that were conducted from those islands that you can share with us to allay their concerns?
I'm not aware of any change in the numbers from that we previously provided, that we've had none from Little Cayman, and we've had 3 which have been negative from Cayman Brac.
And I think we'll go, Kayla, one more and then we'll wrap for today.
All right. Regarding residents who would like to leave the territory, is there any possibility of a Cayman Airways flight going to Miami or somewhere that might be more convenient for those that don't need to go all the way to London?
We're certainly happy to look at that, as long as the borders in Florida or anywhere else in the U.S. don't close. We're happy to look at that if we have the numbers of people to warrant the flight. We're certainly happy to look at that.
And if I could just say, if people are in that situation, to ring the travel helpline. The people who've rung about the BA flight, a number of people have said they don't want to take that flight but do want to go somewhere else. So we're collecting all that information. So the message really is, if you do have travel needs, ring that hotline so we get a full picture of how many people and where they want to go.
And in the interest of fairness, we'll just take one more from CNS, but we will be back tomorrow, so don't worry, we'll have more answers for you then. Wendy, go ahead.
Thank you very much. It's just a very quick question, probably for Dr. Lee. I've just noticed on some of the instructions given on the websites regarding what people should do if they think they're sick. It tells people to self-isolate at home, but it even says if you have respiratory symptoms, just to self-isolate. I'm wondering whether if people have respiratory problems, should they not be calling 911? I just want to check that.
I mean, I guess it's the definition of respiratory. So basically, we're just saying any breathing type symptoms, which would start with a cough, then shortness of breath. I think if anybody got shortness of breath or was in any way worried about their symptoms, you really need to call and ask for advice either through 911 or the flu hotline. And certainly, if there's any severity to your symptoms, of course, call 911 immediately. I would not want anyone to be at home who should actually be assessed or be being treated for a situation which is deteriorating where they needed help.
Thank you. And thank you very much for joining us this afternoon. We'll see you tomorrow for the next update. In the meantime, keep an eye on gov.ky/coronavirus and on all our social media channels. And we'll see you again tomorrow. Goodbye.
A soft curfew is in effect from 5 a.m. to 7 p.m. until further notice, and all establishments, institutions, businesses, organizations, and offices must be closed. Employees can work remotely from home but must not be required to go to the office unless they have been officially exempted by a competent authority. As a reminder to all persons employed within the public service, unless they are specifically designated as an essential worker, they must work remotely from home. The public is reminded that during this time, for the purposes of ensuring persons abide with the shelter-in-place requirements, a police officer may require a person to answer any questions to enable the police officer to ascertain who the person is and whether he or she is an exempted person. Where the person does not satisfy the police officer that the person falls within the exempted categories, the police officer may direct the person to go immediately to the person's place of abode or place of residence. A police officer may also use reasonable force if necessary in the exercise of this power.
Radio Cayman News.
Cayman's positive cases of COVID-19 spiked to 12 over the weekend.
Hundreds are waiting to enter since supermarkets opened for the first time since going on lockdown.
The soft curfew provides for limited activities only.
Checkpoints are in place at strategic locations across Grand Cayman.
Take seriously the threat that we are facing.
Radio Cayman, your official source for Cayman's COVID-19 response. Hear it here first.
Radio, with the switch of a dial, radio brings you tragedy, comedy, entertainment, information, education, a whole world at your command.
Give me some sound over here.
Radio Cayman's Super Jam Show. Radio. Proudly sponsored by the Cayman Islands Football Association. CIFA, building a better future for Cayman football.
Word up, and we in effect. Keep on listening.
Super Jam. The Super Jam Show is fueled by the proud sponsorship of insurance agent Michael Webster from Cayman Insurance Center. Don't take chances with your family's future.
Another proud sponsor of the Super Jam Show.
Merengue Town.
Time to feel the rhythm. Time to feel the vibes. It's time for Merengue Town.
And by the Lions Club of Grand Cayman, Benzorama. Get your raffle ticket to win a 2020 Mercedes-Benz A200.
Mix up the thing like rundown from morning, noon till the sundown.
Get ready for a different sound.
Code 3, something.
Beautiful Cayman Islands. Cayman Rock, Little Cayman. Sometimes Will Sinatra.
Come in front for your blessings. Come in front for your blessings.
Taking complete control of your afternoon.
the Silver Fox.
Yeah, you got that yummy, that yummy, that yummy, yummy.
Sometimes DJ Lynn.
Toda la noche rompemos, al otro día volvemos.
Super Jam. Radio Cayman 3 to 6 mix. Not just today's music, yesterday's classic.